The time is exactly 3 right now, and the session is about to begin. Very good afternoon and good evening to one and all who is present here, especially the participants who have taken your valuable time out of your schedule and you have come for this presentation and this webinar. Thank you so much for joining us with this. And also, we have our wonderful and finest speakers that we have today with us. And today we all are going to hear from them. So I will also introduce about them briefly in a minute. Before that, I would like to quickly take a moment and talk about this entire initiative, the Big Talk initiative that Nimbus have taken. Actually, about a month ago, soon after the lockdown, we have started giving this one-on-one training to the institutions because, as you all know, Nimbus is a digital library platform, and we give this, training about this particular tool, this particular platform, how to use, how remotely you can access this, how this particular platform will become handy in, especially in a time of crisis like this. But then our conversation with the librarians, with the admins, and with the institutions, we understood the issue is not just that, an issue is much more bigger than that. And it's our responsibility to attend to those issues also. There where we started this particular initiative of this big talk. When we started, we were so naive. We started with very little tools that we had, the technology that we had, the manpower we had. We started this very humble beginning of Big Talk in on 6th May exactly. But then today, as you all can see, that we are doing an international webinar in the same series, in the webinar series called Now and Next Libraries of the Future. Thank you so much for making it making this event a very big success right now, because we can, as you can see, we have these wonderful speakers right now, because without these speakers we wouldn't have reached this place where we are right now. So without a much of ado, we thank all the speakers that we had in the past, and also we would like to show our gratitude to the speakers who have come today to the platform across the country, taking out their time. Thank you so much for joining us with us, sir. So without much of ado, I'm going to quickly talk about the speakers that we have right now, as you all know, because we have a lot of speakers have joined from across the country, and we would like to introduce you to the participants that we have right now. So to begin with, I'm going with the order, and also I'll also go with the order of the event today. To begin with, I will like to talk about Professor Dr. Ramesh Gaur, who was the backbone of this particular international seminar. Uh, just I'm extremely sorry. We have forgot to switch on the recording. I'm so sorry. Anyways, now the session is also being recorded. So now is the important thing that we are going to talk about, because I'm going to talk about the speakers that we have right now, the interesting speakers that we have right now, because this is what that you all are going to take to your place today. The kind of information that you're going to get, from where you're going to get this information. I would like to introduce Professor Dr. Ramesh C. Gaur, is presently the Dean and Director and Dean and Director for Library and Information, and Head Kala Nidhi Division in HAG Scale Pay Scale Level 15 at Indira Gandhi National Center for the Arts, New Delhi, Ministry of Culture, Government of India. Actually, he's the very person who's the backbone, and he's also the captain of the ship today. He's going to take over the entire session, and he's going to moderate the session. But I'll take quick moment in introducing him to you. And also today he's going to talk about the topic convenience first, engaging people where they live and learn. He is a Fulbright scholar from Virginia Tech, USA. Professor Gaur has visited almost 24 countries. The list goes on. It includes USA, UK, Australia, Russia, Germany, France, and all A-list and developed nations that he has been traveled across. He is a member of editorial advisory board, guest editor in several international and national journals. In over 28 years of professional career, he has authored and edited 6 books, has written over 60 plus articles, papers, and has presented and delivered over 400 papers and talks in various national, international conferences, etc. Has organized and directed a number of international and national conferences. And today he is going to direct and organize this particular event also. And we are so extremely happy that he's doing so. Thank you, sir. Welcome you on board. And going to the second speaker, Mr. Prashant Pandey. He's the director for library, Flinders University. And he's also going to present today on the title of Transforming Academic Libraries Pre and Post COVID. To quickly talk about Mr. Prashant Pandey, he is an experienced and senior executive who is able to inspire and lead change the rapidly changing environment for libraries and research institutions. As Director of Library Service, he is responsible for all aspects of Flinders University Library with a particular focus on building active learning and research environment. This is what we all been expecting, isn't it? We enhancing the relevance and discovery of information resources, building staff capability, and ensuring the delivery of responsive service to students, academics, and researchers. He holds a Master of Science and a Bachelor of Engineering in Computer Information Science. He is particularly interested in the uplink technologies to ensure that the library remains relevant in the digital environment. His current interests include artificial intelligence, digital the preservation, and the semantic web. Welcome you on board, Mr. Prashant. We are extremely glad to have you with us. And next we have Mr. Nikesh Narayanan. He's information technology librarian at Zayed University, Dubai, United Arab Emirates. He is also going to talk about today. He is going to talk about a more important feature in library, federated to library service platform, facilitating integrated search to library resources. You will be hearing it from him today. And to crisply talk about Mr. Nikesh, Nikesh serves as Assistant Professor and Information Technology Librarian at Zayed University, Dubai. He is a library system expert with specialization in web scale discovery solutions, LSP, ILS, remote access, repositories, institutional ORCID API implementation, and research data management. He secured MTech in Information System and Management with a gold medal from the University of Mysore. Besides, he has master's degree in library information science and also in business studies. He worked as an information specialist for a library service company in Kuwait and involved in client relationship management and customer training for major international publishers like Elsevier, Wiley, Taylor Francis, Springer, Thomson Reuters, Emerald, and so on and so forth. The list goes on. Nikhil has also extensively experienced leading in technical operation in EBSCO, serving as EBSCO Discovery Engineering, and he has implemented over 100 EBSCO discovery profiles across India and South Asia to deliver seamless and integrated discovery user experience in libraries. Welcome you, sir. We are extremely glad to have you with us today. And next to go on to Dr. Praveen Babar. He is working as Deputy Librarian at Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi. And today he is going to cover a topic, technologies for anywhere, anytime access to library resources. This is what we are all been expecting actually, because we are trying to connect ourselves with the resources the college is subscribing to even in a lockdown like this. He has over 15 years of experience in the field of library and information science professions. As a deputy librarian at JNU, his pivotal duties include developing, implementing, and assessing an engaging platform of learning opportunities and resources and scaffold for university faculty and students of JNU. He holds a PhD from University of Rajasthan, MPhil, Library and Information Science, and he has Master of Computer Application and Master of Business Administration. He has edited even books and written books, about 60 papers, which has been published and presented in national international conferences. Sir, thank you so much for joining us, and we are so glad to looking forward to hear from you, sir. Thank you so much. And last but not the least, we can also call Dr. Maina Chawla Singh. He's one among us. And also, we proudly like to present to you Dr. Maina Chawla Singh, who is a scholar in residence from American University and Switzerland scholar, Brandeis University, and formerly faculty at Tel Aviv University, Israel, and Georgetown University, Washington, D.C., Delhi University, visiting faculty at IILM University, Gurugram, founder director of Center of Teaching and Learning at IILM University. Dr. Singh has authored 2 books and published several peer-reviewed articles. She is experienced manuscript editor and peer reviewer for international journals. She has lectured widely, including at Yale, Oxford, Cornell, University of Pennsylvania, New York University, University of Michigan, Ann Arbor, and so on and so forth. Dr. Singh is also a syllabus designer for online teaching and holds advanced certification in digital learning from American University, Washington, D.C. Dr. Singh has lived and researched in Israel, France, Russia, Japan, and the US. Dr. Singh is the director of our own GIST Institute also. We are extremely happy to have you, ma'am. Thank you for being on board. So as I have introduced, you can see the kind of rich profile that we have got right now, and I can't wait to hear from them. And before getting on to this particular session, quickly I would like to give the participants the specifications and the protocol. The Q&A session will be at the end of the session, at the end of all the speakers, when the speakers have ended the session, it will be at the end. And you can put in your, then and there you can put in your questions in your quick Q&A tab that you have got in your screen. You can put in your questions. And my good friend, Ms. Chandrakala Chauhan, will help us in reading of the question, and you can, and the speakers will answer to your questions. And second, as we have the technological limitations, we can accommodate only 1,000 participants right now. And also we have my good friend Mr. Krishna Kishore will put in the YouTube Live, Facebook Live, and also the LinkedIn link in the chat box. You can send it across to your friends who's not able to be part of the webinar. They can also access the entire webinars in the YouTube Live also. So without much of ado, I can't wait to hear from you. So now I hand over the ship to Professor Dr. Ramesh C. Gaur. Over to you, sir. Over to you.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Venkatesh, for your nice introduction and making a good beginning. Thanks, Sohail, Chandrakala, and the entire GIST team for putting it as a great show. I'm sure there is a lot of excitement and a lot of interest in today's webinar in India and also other parts of the world. I've seen a large number of people have been registered, and many are joined on X and YouTube and Facebook Live. And it's such a great show because there is an extreme panel. Three of them, Prashant, Praveen, Nikesh, I have been very closely knowing them, have particularly with Praveen worked for several years, know very well Prashant and Nikesh also. And I think the beauty of this particular discussion is that we are blessed with a very and perspective from Dr. Nenashi, because somehow we are librarians, technocrats. So a kind of academic perspective, a teacher's point of view, that is going to make this webinar more interesting, and we are going to see a good discussion, and I'm sure people who are listening on WebEx or other channels will definitely enjoy it. And I'm sure this will give a direction, like in this COVID-19 situation, how people are struggling and how libraries should prepare themselves to serve their users. Can I request to share my screen?
So here, sir, you can give the access to Professor Gaur.
So sure. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir. 1 minute. Give me a second. Yes, sir. The presenter access is given.
Can you see my screen? Beckett, can you confirm? Can you see my?
No, sir, not yet. Can you scroll the screen down? So you presenter right now. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Your screen is getting casted.
Can you see it now?
Yes, sir, we can see your screen. Okay, we can.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So, the topic on which I am going to start this discussion, users convenience first, means engaging people where they live and where they learn. So now the days are gone when it was compulsory to come to the library. They want information as per their convenience, and it is the responsibility of the library to reach out them wherever they are, whatever the way they want the information. Now, these pictures may give you some glimpses of the things I'm going to talk in this particular my present. But before that, let me just give you like the kind of pandemic situation we are. Our library is prepared for that. And particularly, I'm going to talk about mainly Indian libraries. There's some focus on other libraries. Definitely, libraries are closed entire country and also in many other countries. And most of the education institutions are depend on resources for teaching and learning. It has to provide services using various kind of remote access technologies, and even library has to work using various kind of remote online learning tools. So this impact of COVID-19 has greatly affected the way we learn, the way we do the reading and be prepared for examination or classroom teaching. And I'm really little disappointed the way libraries in India are being equipped with such kind of needs in terms of contents, digital contents, in terms of technology. Although we have beautiful library structure, we have number of national, international digital library programs, but somewhere I think we lack the proper coordination and we lack the proper planning and executing those national projects. So still our users are struggling to get the right kind of digital material. If I need a book published in Indian languages or regional languages in digital form, there is hardly any platform where a undergraduate student or a researcher can find out such books. Even same is true in case of journals. So definitely, I think there is a lack of contents and the kind of demand which is generating from teaching and research community. Somehow we are managing, but I'm not sure that we are fulfilling their entire needs. A school student NCRT book may be available, but when I ask them to provide the different kind of other supporting material, suppose they have to prepare for engineering entrance examination, there is hardly literature available in online form. And these researchers' needs are changing not today, it is changing from last almost 20 years. Are we prepared to deal with various kind of shifting user behavior and their priorities? Do we understand that what they want? They want Google-like search, but they don't want Google. Here the millions of references are coming, and many of them are irrelevant to their search. They want speed and convenience of electronic access. They want high quality metadata, so they should not waste their time in this searching material. They want delivery at their doorsteps. And those millennials or teenagers, they are very much confused with this information overload. Now, how to guide them, how to really help them in finding out the right and most relevant information required for their study or research purposes. That's the challenge. And with this availability, with all these tools and technologies, we have to see a lot of issues in a fresh manner. We talked about digital repository, we are talking about institutional repository, we are talking about open access, we are talking about the mobile technologies. But somewhere, particularly in India, we are lacking the kind of, the process which give us the right content to the right user, and it should be not in piecemeal basis. It should be in a totality. I think what we are lacking is the totality of the information. And how to achieve this particular totality of information fulfillment? There are certain kind of library essentials which every library has to prepare of. It may be a tab open. Can you believe it? When I travel in this country, many university libraries are still not catalogued. So I think even in 2012, when I joined JU Library, almost 60% of the online books were not cataloged. So I think we have to really think, because catalog has become just a starting point in this digital world. We have to look beyond that. So all these tools and technologies, digital contents, we have to really arrange those library essential for our user community. If we cannot provide them library essential, how can we think of serving them even in ordinary situation? Forget about situation like this, where we are facing a lot of problems. It may be open access, maybe a digital library, maybe an institutional repository. Everything has certain things to reconsider and relook. When we talk about open access to information, predatory information and fake information are also part of the same process. So now, how to differentiate the predatory information, fake information, how to guide the user? The priority one is how to guide the user about. Definitely we need open access, but the kind of open access content what we need is something which are totally relevant to them. It should not be information from the predatory journals, it should not be a fake information. So in this open access world, the first priority and most important priority which I feel is how to guide our users about what is the good open access resources, what are the bad open access resources, and what are the predatory information, what is the fake information. So authenticity of information has to be established, and that's the challenge for librarians to do it. Now, when we talk about Google, Internet, World Wide Web, it's huge. So much is available, a researcher cannot read it in its lifetime. So, the priority number 2, according to me, is tell them what to search. Same time, tell them what not to search, where to search, how to search. And in this process, we should give them Google is not everything. Internet is not a library. Internet is not even a digital library. 15 to 20% web contents are not indexed by any standard search engines, including Google. Google or any standard search engine will never tell you what is authentic, what is fake, what is predatory. And while searching on Google, you in the relevancy ranking, your first result is not always the what you are looking for. Like I'm giving you an example on this slide. I was looking for best open access journal. Result was, what was the result? Result was Omics International, which is a predatory publisher. So Google is giving me a number 1 ranking, best open access journal by Omics International, which is a predatory journal. How can I trust Google on that? So, and more than that, is such a huge size web. We call it deep web, or we call it surface web or dark web. And this deep web is huge in size and contains a lot of academic content, lot of government information, government data. But many of the librarians themselves are not aware of it. That how to penetrate that deep web, how to provide them the best available resources in their area of interest, searching on deep web. How to search this deep web? The size is huge, more than 2000 times than the surface web. And in this process, I think we need to educate them about this entire search process, search strategies, and we need to educate them about various kind of search engines available to search on deep web. Maybe a meta search engines like academic index, maybe journal index, engine and databases. It may be academic search engines like Google, Scholar. Many resources are available. So I think that is the second priority. Guide them about the searching. Now, how to reach out them with anywhere, anytime access. My colleague Praveen will talk about it. I will not talk more about that. Nikesh is going to talk about discovery services, but I'm not going to explain you all these things. Nikesh and Praveen will talk about the technology. I'm only telling you provide anytime, anywhere access to library resources just like Google by a single search window. And we implemented this in JNU. Praveen will tell you how there was a big revolution in terms of usage of the resources. Now, when we talk about the priority number 4, it's not just school education, it's not college education, it is not university research. We are talking about lifelong education. When we talk about Internet of Things, result is Industry 4.0, result is Education 4.0, and result is Academic Library 4.0. And when we talk about Education 4.0, we are talking about anywhere, anytime access. We are talking about personalized information. We are talking about the flexibility of the information. So we need to look into these kind of priorities where lifelong learning should be important criteria. When we talk about engaging researchers in enhancing quality and visibility of the research, I mean to say that provide them the necessary support services, the way they should develop various kind of use tools and technologies for Grammarly check, for plagiarism detection, for writing thesis, for citation. All these tools and technologies should be provided to them. Provide them various kind of create research guides and subject database for them. So they can save their time. They can easily find out the resources which they are looking for. You have to look for virtual reference services. It may be and electronic delivery is must in this context. You create a virtual library tools, and that those kind of things could have been wonderful in this pandemic situation. Create various kind of digital reference services for mobile technology using SMS and emails. So this is something instant messaging, chat, all these expert advice over the internet, over the mail, over the social media is going to be essential. That should be the priority of the library to reach out the user wherever they are, whatever they want. Now, you have to really look into that when you are serving your user, there are people with disabilities, various disabilities. You keep them on top priority. Give them barrier-free access. Provide them all kind of assistive tools and technologies. And believe me, if you are serving them, you are not doing any favor to them. This is your responsibilities. In India, there is a act enacted in 2012. It is mandatory that you provide services to all these persons with disabilities. Now, the last thing which I want to talk in this my presentation is which should be your most important priorities. We are an internet world. There are mindset. People start believing and talking. Everything is available on internet. I was in Manipur. The minister is talking like now everything is available on internet. What do we need of the libraries? These mindsets are killing libraries. They are creating problems for the library. Budgets have been cut down. Positions have been reduced. So you have to take help of your users. If your users are there, if your users are demanding something, people have to listen to them. So invite them, tell them that you need libraries more than ever. And there are examples to convince that libraries are required more than ever. Librarians are required more than ever because of the complexity of information media, complexity of information storage, complexity of information search system, complexity of variety of information, information overload. All these things are going to justify that libraries and librarians are required more than ever. And there are a number of other reasons for us to believe that libraries are extremely still important. It may be because of we are we come from one civilization to another civilization. Libraries are the carrier of your one civilization to another civilization. For the posterity, we have to really believe that internet is just a tool. We have to convince the people that we need highly technology oriented librarians with good subject background to save the time of the user, provide them various packaged information. And this packaged information is going to be very, very useful. The web size is increasing, and you have to really face a lot of challenges in knowledge navigations. And believe me, in a country like India, everybody is not having access to internet. The speed is not very high. Still, we have to live in a hybrid world. Moreover, because of the financial constraint, every user cannot buy expensive books and journals. There are thousands of, and more than that, libraries and environment. It is not just a storehouse of material. And be a smart librarian. Create yourself. Give your responsibility that you are a proactive, creative, innovative librarian. You are round the clock librarian. You should be a teaching research librarian. Become a trained setter. Have out of box thinking. Become a friend, philosopher, and guide. I can tell you, people will respect you. Libraries will be respected, and you will become a very essential person. I thank you very much. I think I would like to close my presentation here, and I will be taking question up in the end in Q&A session. So let's my screen can be shared. Now I would like to invite my next presenter, Pandit.
Professor, thank you for the inclusion. Quickly, Madam Mugdha Sinha is with us. And she'll
Yes.
be there for a very small, short time, and she'll be leaving us. But then we would like to take her views also, because she is the IAS officer secretary for science and technology in government of Rajasthan. And right now, science and technology is in the rise because everybody is locked down. Everybody is trying to be connected through science, through technology, some or other way. And this is the right moment that we have Madam Mugdha Godse with us. We'll have few words from her, sir, with your permission. We'll have few words.
Yes, please. Please, Ms. Mugdha, you are welcome to make your and I welcome you to this program, and will be happy to listen to you. Please.
Thank you so much for joining, ma'am. Please go ahead.
Mr. Mohammed Sohail, who's the host of this webinar and who's invited me. I have gracefully accepted, but I have a meeting lined up, so I'll be very brief and short because I think we have experts. And I must compliment you, Professor Rameshji, because I joined when you were making your presentation. I thought it was very, very useful. And I say this because as Secretary of the Department of Science and Technology, I think the only thing more viral than the virus today is technology, not just for the governments, but also for all private and public institutions, especially the educational institutions and the hospitals, which are at the front line of the COVID fight. So I think it is a very, very relevant topic. And in fact, it was because of the fact that it was very relevant and useful, I thought I should attend and have a look at what was going on. And Mr. Sohail has been kind enough to give me this opportunity to share a little bit. I have been writing extensively for various newspapers on the future of technology, and I'm very happy to share my views here. Only today in the morning, DST Government of India a week back launched a scheme, a webinar-based scheme called Know Your Scheme Lecture Series. We already had a Know Your Institution and Science and Technology lecture series, which we started when we joined when I joined this department in July 2019. And when we held the first orientation meeting with all our stakeholders, the universities and the various colleges all across Rajasthan, one of the things that we spoke about that meeting, which went on for 9 hours, because government of Rajasthan, DST, and DST government of India made a presentation for an hour each, and we heard all the universities. And one of the things that emerged from this, and which connects very beautifully what Professor Ramesh ji was saying, is building up of inventory, not just of the libraries, but also of the various human resources who are working. Because today I realized when I joined the department that, as he mentioned, that there was a dearth of, a single portal to handle everything that was available. So the kind of research journals which were available, say in physics, because science is also a very inter-trans and multidisciplinary subjects. When we talk of science, we also need to see what are its attendant implications with the with other subjects and other domains of importance. So I think building up a good library, getting a platform, and I always, when I speak of technology, I always insist that we must all not just get awed by technology, because there is a small aspect of the tyranny of technology, which Yuval Noah Noavi, he has also mentioned in his article, which he wrote in the Atlantic in September 2018, where he says that technology has this inbuilt, inherent capacity to render itself obsolete, with huge number of upgradations that happen not just in the software but also in the hardware, which requires a lot of training of the human bear, and there's a lot of fatigue with our screen times having gone up. So a calibrated approach towards usage of technology is must. See, my department also does a lot of IPR, and we work on what Government of India also does in a big way, which is building of a huge database of traditional knowledge and folklore, including the genetic species that we have in terms of maintaining the biodiversity. So not only is this session very, very useful, but what Professor Ramesh spoke about, talking of the deep web, there are issues of cyber hygiene, there are issues of cyber security. And today, when we were talking as part of a Know Your scheme, a series on work from home, the additional secretary, Mr. V. Srinivas, who's the additional secretary in the Ministry of Administrative Affairs, Pensions, DRGP, basically in Government of India, who spearheaded this protocols draft consultation paper on protocols for work for home, building up of data, not just compiling of data, collating of data, figuring out. The first step probably is figuring out where all that data is available. And also not, as I told you, data in terms of the research papers or the books, but also in terms of the people who are working, your researchers, your scientists, what area specialists. So what we have done in Rajasthan is we have made various cohorts. So we have a design cohort, which brings together all universities and colleges which work on design, planning, architecture, and heritage conservation together. And I believe very strongly that when we have public-private partnerships, or now I would like to term them as public-citizen partnerships, because the citizenry has, again, along with the government, become very, very focal center of administration in terms of the communication and outreach that the government is supposed to do with them. So it becomes very, very important that we crowdsource a lot of information from the public through our stakeholders, the universities, and bring them all together. So governments are very good, very good compilers and collators of data. And in my previous work as Secretary Food and Public Administration, we used a lot of data analytics to, allow this collated and compiled data to speak to us in a predictive manner, to be able to do what in governments we love to call evidence-based policy making, because the data speaks to us. So I'm very, very happy that both Mr. Sohail and the various eminent people on the panel today, I've only had the opportunity to listen to Professor Ramesh, and my appetite already seems to be whetted with all the interesting slides that he made. And I think that it's a very, very valid point. And I think, I again go back to the tyranny of technology, because, what we are all doing, and I face this in the startups, that everybody is reinventing the wheel. I am very sorry to say that we are reinventing the wheel. We are doing the same thing again and again. So I think we have to somewhere decide, because we cannot bombard people using phones and technology to download several kinds of databases on the same app. You can't force people to have these umpteen numbers of portals, web portals. And so we need a combined JSTOR kind of a library. Also a little loosening up. I think this corona adversity is a good opportunity for governments, for public institutions, which also work with a huge network of bureaucracy, to loosen themselves and allow access to JSTOR, buy those JSTORs, and allow people access. So maybe there is time for India to build its own JSTOR kind of an application, where all the data across ministries, across themes comes together in one go, and people are able to do a research. In fact, I am very fond of quoting Carl Sagan, who's not just a scientist but also a writer of science fiction. And he said something that science and technology is so embedded in our lives, but unfortunately society knows so little about it, and it is time that we make science as a service provider, as a tool, makes use of this opportunity to build the kind of data that we need. It is absolutely important that we must work hard in good times, so that we can overcome the bad and the difficult times of crisis, as Sun Tzu has said in his theory of war, that and now is a time, disease is the beginning of good health, as Nietzsche said. So it is a good time to start building on what Professor has said, and what this webinar, everybody in the webinar is going to probably take us around in a very, very holistic manner on how we can do this. I will be requesting through this opportunity that I have got, that the host put me in touch with Professor Ramesh, and we will be very, very happy to use his services and of all other people who are here, to help us build an inventory that we have been planning to do for a very long time, and maybe we can form a committee on how we can do it in DST government of Rajasthan. I think I will not take much of your time, because I have also headed to another meeting, because now all the meetings are on the same web platform, so I'll have to exit one to be able to enter the other. But I deeply appreciate, and I'm extremely grateful for this little moment of intervention that I have been afforded. And I will request the host to share the articles that I have written, I've got published, with all the panelists, and maybe we'll be happy to collaborate and share the knowledge that is available. Since we are talking of building libraries, I thought I could use this intervention. And if there is a recording of the other panelists and of their other presentations, I'll request the host to share it. And we'll be very happy to learn more from all the various panelists who, unfortunately, I might just be missing. But to conclude, there is no other way of doing research, because we also handle this Afsar scheme, which teaches people to augment their research writing skills. There is no other recourse than not to build a database. In fact, governments are sometimes, criticized. People are critical about our non-documentation of the kind of work that is being done in the government, and this is a very, very good opportunity to document whatever is available in terms of the software, in terms of the hardware, in terms of the peopleware, in terms of the resources, because people are our biggest resources. We live in a world of artificial intelligence, but natural intelligence of the human being, the intelligence quotient and the emotional quotient, is not going away anywhere. And artificial intelligence will be just a tool to service the natural intelligence of human being, as we remain in sync and biomimicry with our natural environments. So thank you very much, and good luck. Thank you for this opportunity, Mohammad Suhail ji. And thank you very much for giving me a small preview of getting to know that some good work is happening, and that people amongst all the clutter of webinars that is happening, there is some good things that we also probably missed in terms of inventory management. So my congratulations and compliments to everybody who is a part of this and who's carrying immense knowledge and wisdom, and has also enabled me to learn from their wisdom, and probably we can also do some consultations and collaborations in the future with all of you. Thank you once again. Won't take much of your time. All the best, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Muktaji, for wonderful and beautiful interventions. We love to hear you. And I will tell you, I think Rajasthan is something very different in terms of my experiences. I remember Honorable Governor of Rajasthan sometime 2-3 years before, when I was in JNU, invited to speak to all the Vice Chancellor of University of Rajasthan that how to modernize and develop a good library in Rajasthan universities. So I think I really impressed with your ideas. You have raised many points. See, last 20 years, 8 years, there are many things I cannot talk on this platform, but I will share with you. Your ideas are excellent, but somewhere I think our policy makers and the people who are running libraries are not understanding that though the model like JSTOR and ArtStore very much possible. We have resources more than the entire art store in the world. In 1 or 2 organizations of Indian cultural institutions will be having resources more than the entire resources available on art store. But somewhere I think we are missing that collaboration, the initiative. We have tried many government institutions. You rightly talked about the public citizen partnership. I am the strong advocate of that, and I think we failed in having. We always depend upon certain individuals and institutions. We never try to develop a collaborative partnership with multiple people from different walks of life who are expert in that area. So I'm sure I'd be happy to interact with you, and let's see with your support if we can do something good for the libraries. And my sincere thanks to you, and I express really gratefulness for your, and thanks Soyati for bringing Muktaji for this platform. It is very good value addition to this event. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank
and
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Forward to you.
The host puts us in touch with all the panelists. Thank you very much, and good luck to you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. So, after this wonderful interventions, which are quite relevant to our discussion, and I'm sure my colleagues will excuse me for that, and but I can assure you, your time will not be cut down. We can extend the webinar for another half an hour, but you will have your opportunity the way it was there. You will not be shortening up any presentation. So now we will have discussion later without taking more time. I'm sure Mr. Prashant Pandey will be waiting to make his presentation. A person who is an Indian and working in Australia since long, has traveled widely in Europe and other part of the world. He is member in many international committees, and most importantly, he is a technology turned librarian. So his views are going to be very interesting and important. Over to Prashant. Please carry on.
Thank you, Dr. Ramesh. Hope everybody can hear me. What a fantastic start. What a fantastic start to this webinar. Thank you, Dr. Ramesh, for your enlightening speech. And it was great to see from, the bureaucrats in India that there is, a direction that's being forged, which will help the libraries move forwards. One thing that resonated with me was the comment that the previous person made around, at the moment, the technology is more viral than the virus itself. I think I will probably quote her words in that context. So thank you for the introduction. I've been on the digital transformation journey within the libraries for more than a decade now. And I've been trying to forge this presentation on transforming academic libraries. And this is not necessarily just about academic libraries. This concept can be pretty much utilized within all libraries, whether they are public libraries, special libraries, or national and state libraries. However, I would like to focus primarily in relation to the academic libraries and how at Flinders University I've been able to utilize the transformative journey or digital transformation to deal with the current pandemic and respond to the emerging challenges that we had to face at a very short, pretty much at a very short notice. I've already shared my details, so if we do run out of time and attendees have other questions or they want to continue the conversation, please contact me through Twitter or you can contact me through the LinkedIn. A little bit about Australia and Flinders University. So Flinders University has around approximately 30,000 students, and we are across the central belt of Australia. I'm sure you would have come across Adelaide, pretty much in reference to cricket. I'm sure all of you are cricket fans. So Adelaide is the mecca for and birthplace of Sir Don Bradman. And he represented Adelaide, and Flinders University's headquarters in Adelaide, which is the red spot on the map. So you got an insight in Professor Ramesh's speech around different facets of our transformative journey and the library per se, and the different ways we need to look at library and information science. And the value of librarian, that question keeps on coming again and again and again. You all would be aware that in 2019, we created more data and more information than all the previous years combined since the humans started gathering information. And pretty much it is projected that in 2020, we will be creating and using enough information, which will be more than the information in the previous year. So we are actually increasing in the information space at an astronomical pace. What does that mean? In my opinion, we need more librarians and information professionals than we ever had. You would have, with internet, of course, you have seen the proliferation of information, which has given rise to fake news and fake information. Professor Gaur touched on that. How do we provide information literacy to the masses? And I think that's where our profession comes into play. So while I will not touch on a lot of different aspects, I'm mindful of time. I'll pretty much try to cover my presentations and through the lens of two facets. One is I will try to look at research and especially scholarly communication and how that is transforming or that needs to transform. And then I will touch on library experience, pretty much from a service standpoint and librarian support and librarian expertise standpoint. And then I will, depending on time, I will touch briefly on the COVID-19 response at Flinders University Library. So this is a picture of the journal published in 1666. And pretty much that is what the traditional scholarly communication system has been since that period. We have evolved. We have gone to what is called as the hybrid model. Now, I'm sure everybody's aware of hybrid model, but it is pretty much where, the traditional publishing landscape where, you don't pay anything, but then libraries have to, or the users have to pay to get access to those resources, what I term as the traditional publishing model, has merged with an open access and specifically one aspect of open access, which is the gold open access, where the researchers have to pay article processing charges towards getting the article published, wherein the end users have that resource or research free of cost to them. In my view, this model is completely broken, and there's been a lot of slow-moving initiatives that are taking momentum or gaining speed, which are primarily looking at how do we disrupt this model, because definitely it is not helping with the dissemination of the information, dissemination of years of works of researchers, which is pretty much needed. I will touch on coronavirus and the vaccine development that is fast tracking in the world. And one of the reasons why we have pretty much been able to reduce the time that is required to get from stage A to stage B in the whole vaccine life cycle is because a lot of data sets, a lot of research, and a lot of information has been made open access. So open access is definitely the end game that I believe librarians and information professionals should aim towards, but there are different challenges in that journey. So if you look at so this is a graph of top 20 publishers by volume, and at the moment still a lot of this is pretty much scaled towards or biased towards traditional publishing. But then you do see some of the open access resources gaining momentum, which is very heartening to see. There's been an issue that's being raised about the citation metrics around open access. So this slide pretty much is there as a myth buster. So where we can see, typically the global average of citation is 2.05. A significant amount of open access journals are beyond the global average when it comes to the citations, the average citations per paper, which is again a testament that open access journals are making significant difference and are leading to an enhancement in sciences and in research. So that's another way of representing. This is a slide which looks at average citations across many journals. Again, you will see that overall, at an average, the open access journals are doing significantly better than subscription journals. And of course, we'll have to be mindful that we have got more subscription-based journals than open access, quality open access journals at this point. But I think it is shifting. So basically, the two myths that I would like to bust during my talk is that there is a myth that majority of open access publishing is predatory. So I think that the data, however, is telling you a different story. And secondly, as I demonstrated through my previous slides, the open access journals can be highly cited, and there are some examples of very open access journals. Dr. Gore, one of his slides did touch on Plan S. That is a development that's taking shape in Europe, and now it's expanding across the world. So Plan S started off by European funders and national funders within individual European countries, and charitable organizations like Wellcome Trust and Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, where they have pretty much moving towards an open access agenda, and with the aim that the research should be available as openly as possible towards finding solutions for real world challenges. And the only way we can do is if a lot more people have a lot more access to the research that in most cases is publicly funded in the first place itself. So some of the principles, and I would just like to identify some of the principles of Plan S, and I categorically support all the principles of Plan S. And that's something that at Flinders and in Australia, we are trying to align ourselves as closely to Plan S principles as possible. one of the principles clearly is authors or the institutions retain copyright to their publications. In a traditional model, publishing model, the authors are primarily, in most cases, pushed towards an arrangement where they had to give away their copyright to the publishers. Now, that is a game changer in my view. The other one is around if there are any open access publishing fees, whether it's article processing charges or any others, the funders and research institutions should take the responsibility. I think this is a very welcoming step. And thirdly, a standout for me is funders do not support the hybrid model of scholarly publishing. Now, the challenge with hybrid model of publishing is we are losing track of, at an institutional level, while libraries can give the senior management at the university all the accounts of our subscriptions, we are losing track of article processing charges at an institutional level, because the majority of that is managed at the researcher level or research institution level. So we do not know as an institution, and that is, globally is the same challenge. How much are we paying to individual publishers in terms of subscription cost plus any other article processing charges? On one hand, that's a big issue. And on the other hand, the subscription charges at an average is increasing at 4 to 5% annually, which is becoming unsustainable to majority of libraries. And of course, with COVID-19, and I will touch later in my presentation, how that is unsustainable in the short term, not the long term that we were envisaging pre-COVID times. And finally, I quite like this statement that the planners funders commit that when assessing research outputs, their funding decisions will value the intrinsic merit of the work. So pretty much what they're saying is the value is in the research, not in the publication channel or its impact factor or the publisher. So right now, because of impact factors, a lot of reputations around journal, the focus has been to get into that research, into those journals, into those publishing channels. However, the planners funders have categorically, explicitly made that as a principle that their focus will not be to value research based on journal metrics or impact factors, rather than reviewing the research itself. I think that is a game changer in our more than 100 years of research life cycle. However, planners, funders also acknowledge that it's not going to happen overnight. So they have, suggested transformative publishing agreements where they can pretty much researchers and libraries and publishers and research funders can work in a space where they can have a transition into that planners arena. So the basic principles of the transformative agreements that have been currently negotiated in Australia and elsewhere is that while there are library managed subscription charges that we pay to the publishers, there are article processing charges that are being paid to the publishers by researchers, as long as the total subscription plus APC remains the same. So it's not a decline in publishers' revenue. Publishers would help us move from a subscription-based to research-based, where the initial cost would be taken. So pretty much moving from the subscription dollars, supporting the article processing charges. Now, a lot of small publishers have come on board with this arrangement. We are still negotiating, and you would have seen some early wins. There are a couple of transformative agreements that have been signed by Elsevier globally. So I think it is looking very positive at this stage. So that was pretty much around the collections, and I've just touched briefly on very big. I've got a full, 1 hour presentation on just the transformation in the collection space, and I would not divulge too much into that. But this was just a brief on how transformative agreements and planners has the potential to revolutionize the research landscape and reduce the monopoly that currently the commercial publishers have. A game changer for that was when China endorsed planners. So as you know, China is now the country with the highest amount of research outputs, and they overtook US at the beginning of 2020. So definitely that's a game changer. And with Europe, China coming in place, and some of the publishers in US looking at that, I think we are in there for completely reshaping how we think about collections. Coming back to the second facet of my talk around library experience. And again, within library experience, you can pick up on different facets. And a lot of that was covered in Professor Gore's presentation. I will pretty much touch on this notion of anytime, anywhere library. And Professor Gore touched on that as well. I think we have to be delivering our services where our users are. And a good case in point is pandemic. One of the reasons why most of Australian universities and their libraries were able to continue operation was that we were able to switch onto an online learning and teaching and online support models very quickly, because we have been investing on that transformation for more than a decade. However, higher education doesn't change that quickly. Now, this is a picture of pretty much a class setting from Bologna. And as you can see, our modern classrooms haven't changed. But, COVID-19 has very quickly and so one of the silver linings that I can think for COVID-19 is the digital transformation that it has engaged. Traditionally, we would, for example, we would be having this this webinar as a conference in a face-to-face setting, and now we are able to connect to many more of the audiences across geographical boundaries. And the technology, of course, is the key, and then pretty much we can share our ideas. So the experience has to move from passive to active learning, and that's the journey that Flinders University Library has been, to transform its spaces into active learning spaces, where we encourage, not during pandemics, but we encourage collaboration. We encourage a bit more serendipitous discovery of both the content and our networks. So model library, and Professor Gore touched on that, I see is riding a rabbit is a good analogy for a modern library. We have been transforming. We have come from very, very conservative business models, and we have transformed, but the transformation journey is continuous. We can't take rest. We have to continuously paddle and continuously evolve, because the information landscape is changing. We have to engage with our users. We have to change with them. I've got a 6-year-old child, and his first learning experience is on an iPad in his reception years. So I want the university and the library to be prepared when he comes knocking on the door with completely different expectations of how a library can service. And that's pretty much how we need to position the modern libraries and librarians. So pretty much, I won't touch too much into that, but it has to change with our culture. And Professor Gore's presentation was all about culture. It's a cultural change from inside. It has to be user-centric. Reach out to the users wherever they are. If we have to survive, if we have to flourish, we have to have that as a mantra, that user-centricity is critical. And my definition of a smart library is the smart library has to be service-oriented, that it has to deliver on the service, and it has to engage and comply with all the service definitions. It has to be mission critical. It needs to support the organization with which we are part of. So it is not library for the library's sake. It has to support the bigger mission statement of the organization. It has to be accessible, and accessibility is not just about the collections and content. The accessibility is about the librarians reaching out, the access to the librarians, access to information literacies, access to webinars like these, access to physical spaces, access to virtual spaces. So accessibility in a broadest context. It has to be relevant. I have visited libraries far and wide, and we have got a lot of very technologically enabled libraries, resources which relate to versions of Fox, DBase and some of the Microsoft versions of Word, which we are not even relevant. So that's one aspect of relevancy. It is about we have looked at that tip of the iceberg in Professor Gore's presentation. But if we have to be relevant, we need to know about the dark web. We need to know a bit more about other channels which our users are engaging with. So we have to move with the times, and we have to, as a sector, be very relevant. And of course, last but not the least, is we need to be technology enabled. We cannot be only human enabled. I think we are already there. It is about how do we be technology enabled. The notion of 24/7 library cannot be achieved with just human capital. It has to be technology enabled in all its forms. And finally, transactions to transformation. That's the mantra that I use in my presentations. If you look globally, India, China, US, even Australia, our success KPIs are measured by transactions. How many users did we visited the library? How many circulation happened? What is our budget? How many volumes of this series we have got? How many monographs we have got? But I think it has to be, it has to move now in transformations. We have to have KPIs around impact. It does not matter if we have got the biggest library collection, if we are not making the impact, the right impact for the students and the academics and the educators. So the impact, so how do we move from transactions being our KPIs to transformations and be able to measure those impacts? And how do we enable teaching, learning, and research and quantify that and measure that? So I will just leave you guys with that thought. Now, quick case study on COVID-19. I have got a couple of more minutes, so I will just quickly go through the response. I'm very pleased to inform you that at the moment, Adelaide, where I'm located, is considered the safest city when it comes to COVID-19. Just we do not have any active COVID cases as of today. I feel very privileged. And Adelaide is in Australia, which pretty much has flattened the curve. So there are not that many active cases that are emerging with wider net. So, it is very positive for Australia. However, when we were in stage 1, around end of March, the beginning of April, the university and the library moved very quickly to respond. And library was able to move very quickly because majority of our services were already online, or we were able to transition the services online. And the reason why I picked up, collections and experience as two facets for my talk today is pretty much are the only two aspects of our service delivery which got impacted by COVID. So we had to physically close the physical library, and we had to cease circulation of our physical collections. So effectively, I thought that would be a good segue into my talk if I focus my conversations around that, those aspects. So of course, we had to build in new norms. So Australia had 1 person per 4 square meters density norm that was enforced. We had to also bring in 1.5 meters of physical distancing. And pretty much, as you can see, Every second PC was, decommissioned. Extra seating were taken. So effectively, our seating capacity was reduced to half. However, there's a food for thought for libraries who are like in India, who are planning at the moment. How do we return back when we come back to other strategies which we can put in place? Online education, I believe, would be a norm. But how do libraries prepare? So libraries over the years have transitioned into computer pools. So we have invested a lot into computer pools. But what we are experiencing now, 3 weeks into bringing back library operations, in an online space, open computer pools do not work that effectively for students because they want to engage with webcams, mics, headphones, and they need that privacy. So our usage of individual group study spaces have just gone sky high. So just food for thought about looking at how we plan for our services post-COVID. The other aspect is for our academics who wanted to record sessions, who want to, in high definition, who want to run seminars. They want those, recording studios, those green rooms that where they can practice and they can deliver. So there's a big demand, and there's a project that I'm initiating very soon at the university to commission those spaces where both students and academics can feel that are comfortable in engaging in online delivery or in engaging through these online channels. Collections I've picked up on that, of course, and we should not lose sight of the impact of that on our staff. So this is a clip from one of our morning teas. It's how do we keep the morale going when we are in a kind of an online space, and how do we still connect socially while managing physical distancing. However, the good thing is, after all this effort, this is just very early data at this point. As you can see, this is pretty much demonstrating that the library usage has actually gone up within the COVID-19 period as compared to the same time last year. Whether it's people calling us or contacting us through emails, or our learning management support, it is pretty much on the upward trajectory. So COVID-19 was a blessing in disguise in terms of digital transformation, because we have been able to move both our academics and students much quickly to where we wanted to be in our strategy. We had a bit of a downturn in a book a librarian appointment, and we are investigating why that was the case. One of the earlier feedback we have received is there are students from disadvantaged communities which struggled to have access to the bandwidth or the devices to connect. And that's something that we will pretty much bring in our... So it is a continuous learning process as well, and we will respond to that. This is where we provide digitized learning resources into our curriculum, and the data categorically demonstrate during the peak of our epidemic, we were digitizing more, and our usage for that digital content was more than the same time last year. So which is a positive sign on our digital transformation journey. So some of the things that we had to put in place because of maintaining, the maximum capacity of our buildings, we had to introduce swipe-only access into the library. We were able to maintain a list of people attending the library, and that was just for content tracing purposes. If in case there was somebody infected, we can provide that data to the content tracing agencies so that we can reduce the risk of this becoming bigger than what it needs to be. We introduced a 72 hours quarantine period for our returned print collections, which means effectively that we provide, and that was an advice that we received from IPLA. We converted all of our 2-hour loans into 7-day loans, and so on and so forth. And the one of the good things is that we have been able to transition our physical spaces into 24/7 spaces across one of our main libraries, and we are moving very quickly to moving that. And the difference between that and what we had pre-COVID was that these will be unstaffed. So unstaffed access to physical borrowing, as well as unstaffed access to physical spaces. We would have struggled to get to that point as quickly as we did during COVID. So there is, how do we use that as an opportunity? That is something that I would like to put forward as my, concluding remark. And COVID-19, so we started coming back to our service on 11th of May, and as of 25th of May, we were in the new normal. So this is where I'll leave my presentation and my talk. I will be happy to take any questions at the end. I may have gone over, but over to the host. Thank you, everybody, for listening.
Thank you, Prashant, for your wonderful presentation. I'm pleased to see your report on COVID. I'm happy at least some part of the world there is a happiness, and there is no so much fear about COVID with the way we are buried in Delhi every day. We have a fear when we go out of home. So, and you beautifully presented various components, maybe Plan S or maybe your definition of smart libraries, and also the way one should deal with this current situation. So, thank you very much, and I'm always your fan. You spoke really well, and I'm sure all participants have enjoyed both as well as on YouTube. Now, I would like to invite our next speaker, Mr. Nikesh Narayan. Nikesh, over to you. Please start your presentation.
Good afternoon, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, Nikesh, you are audible.
Yes. I request the organizer to make me a presenter.
Suhail, can you ask somebody to share the screen of Nikesh?
In a minute, sir. He will make the presenter soon.
Yeah, sure. So, Nikesh, I know you have very good experience in dealing with all discovery solution services, and particularly this component concept of meta search.
Yes,
and we, with both technology and library science background, we really want you to make people understand how this can help in making library resources Google-like, not Google.
Yes, sir. Sure, sir. I will try to.
Yes, sir. Now you can present your screen as you are answering Professor Gaur's question also.
Sure.
Yeah, please share your screen.
I hope everybody can see my screen.
Yes, sir, we can.
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks very much, Professor Gao and this team for inviting me for this presentation. And today we had some insightful presentation from Professor Gao, Madam Mukta, and Prashant Pandey. So they very well covered how the libraries are transforming and what are the steps to be taken to make it fast, to adapt with the present new world. So now I will talk about library technologies that are very essential to get or to disseminate the library resources to the users. So my topic is federal to library service platforms, facilitating integrated search to library resources. So my presentation is divided into three parts. In the first facet, I would discuss about why integrated search is essential for a library. And in the second part, what are the options and evaluation parameters? And then we would discuss about recent trends in the discovery or in the integrated search platforms. So when we talk about academic library resources, we all are aware that now libraries are transforming or from print world to digital world. So libraries are giving more emphasis to electronic resources, e-journals, e-books, databases, institutional repositories, and special digital collections. So when we talk about Indian libraries, now libraries are getting many resources through InflipNet consortium, and they have their own subscribed resources. So content-wise, most of the university libraries are rich. So I'm just giving an example of one of the biggest university libraries in the world, which is Harvard Library. We all know, all are aware of that, and which is one of the best universities in the world. So if you look at the size or number of databases they have more than 5,397 databases. So can we imagine to go each and every databases to find our resources? It's really impossible. So if you look at Indian libraries, I'm sure the big university libraries like Jawaharlal Nehru universities and other universities, they have anywhere more than 200 to 300 databases. So it is very difficult for a researcher or a user to so he'd be in a confusion where to start his research. In front of him, there are a lot of resources like e-resources, e-databases, aggregated databases from EBSCO, ProQuest, and abstract and indexes. So if I'm a user, I would be confused. So what's the solution for that? So before the solution, what are the consequences? So the main consequence is that the resources would be underutilized. A researcher may not know about all the resources. Probably he knows about the well-known resources like Elsevier, Springer, Wiley, Taylor, and Francis, etc. And his search would end up in those resources only. And other substrate resources get underutilized. This is one of the biggest problems if you do not have an integrated search solution. So what's the solution for that? So a simple solution is that a single point entry to all the content and services offered by a library. So when we talk about the single solution, it looks very simple, but it's not really very simple. You need to do a lot of back-end work to provide such a service. So these are some of the technologies that enable single search technologies for the libraries. One is federated search software, and the second one is web scale discovery tools. So let's start with the federated search solution. It's an old technology, maybe started in late 1990s. So it is more than 20 years now. So using the federated search technology, simultaneous search through connectors is possible. For example, if you look at the figure here, if I search for some keyword, for example, COVID-19, it goes to each and every database. It goes to IEEE, it goes to Taylor and Francis, it goes to Springer, and it goes to Science Direct. So simultaneously at the same time. So it's a real-time search. So in theory, it's very beautiful. It goes real time and real time fetch the data from each and every resources and throws to the result list page. But practically, it is not a good solution. I would tell you some drawbacks of federated search. The one of the drawback is it's very slow compared to other integrated search solution. And another thing is that these platforms are different in their structure, and metadata is different, and their search technology is different, and the relevance ranking is different. So when you get results from these different sources, put them together and apply a relevance ranking algorithm is very difficult. So that's one of the main disadvantage. And the second one is, at the time of your searching, if the connector is having some issues, you won't be getting the results from that particular source. For example, if the connector with Elsevier Sans Direct is off, you won't be getting results from that source, but the user would think that he's getting results from all the sources, but he's going to miss some important information. So that's the problem with the federated search solution. And it is not my opinion. There are some studies which is appeared in Science Direct in the year 2012. I have mentioned that studies here in this slide. You can go through that study. And then came Google custom search. It has been there, but you can integrate search through Google custom search, but it's not very good solution. For example, I have given a link here. Through that link, you can search Science Direct, Sprinker, and Emerald. But the issue is that you cannot filter for your subscribed resources. That is one of the drawbacks with Google custom search. And then came web scale discovery services, which is the latest technology. Latest in the sense, it's almost 10 years now. It has been there for the last 10 years. And libraries across the world are using this technology. It is similar to Google search. The technology is similar to Google search. You can see from the figure here, there's a central index. So we all are aware how Google search works. Google bots go each and every site and harvest the metadata and the content of the site and keep in a big central index. The same way, discovery service providers have agreement with most of the publishers, and they have some mechanism to collect their metadata or harvest their metadata and keep in the central index of the discovery service. Along with the central index, library can have the local index of the OPAC and institutional repository and other digital collections. So when a user searches something, his search is against the central index, and it does not go to each and every resources simultaneously. So the search is very fast and you are not going to miss anything. But there is some disadvantages for the web scale discovery service also, because there might happen some content gap. For example, if Science Direct publish an articles today, it may take 2 to 3 days to get index in the central index of the web scale discovery service. So that gap is a disadvantage. If you can bear with that gap, it's a good solution. So we will discuss some of the difference between discovery service and federated search engines. So as I mentioned, discovery service is very fast, and you can have robust relevance ranking algorithm compared to federated search, and you will get comprehensive results, and performance quality is very high. So you can go through this slide. I will share my slide at the end of the session. So basically, web scale discovery services components, there are basically two sets of components. One is content and the second one is technology. The content means central index that we have already discussed. The providers have agreement with most of the publishers and they harvest their metadata through various means. And the second one is knowledge base. So we should not confuse with the central index and knowledge base. Knowledge base is the list of all publications available in the world. For example, Science Direct, the list of all journals, list of all books. From Taylor and Francis, list of all journals, books, and other databases. So the knowledge base will have all the list of all publishers, all the publications available in the world. So the knowledge base should be very rich so that a library can select their subscribed resources with just tick mark or selection from the knowledge base. So it is very easy for the library. It is not central index. So one resources which is available in knowledge base may not be available in central index. So you should check with the discovery service provider whether all your subscribed collections are available both in knowledge base and in central index. And in the technology, there are various technology, backend technologies like Harvester or AAPMH for the open access journals and automated transfer routines, load tables, etc. Metadata mapping. This is very important. Metadata mapping. For example, Science Direct has a different set of metadata structure compared to Taylor and Francis. So the discovery providers, they have a common set of metadata and they map the metadata, map each of the publishers' metadata to their comprehensive metadata set. And another thing is deduplication algorithms. This is also very important. The same article might be indexed in various sources. For example, an article published in Science Direct may be indexed in Scopus, Web of Science, and other indexing sources. So when you search in Discovery Service, probably you will get multiple results of the same data, same article. Yeah, that is really very confusing. So Discovery Service providers employ some deduplication algorithms to eliminate this kind of noise, but it's not 100% success. They are still working on it. So deduplication is one of the important parameter. Then link resolvers that links to the full text of the article. We will discuss about that in the later slide. Then relevancy ranking, we have already discussed, and interface technology. Interface technology deals with how to present the search results and what are the facets to be on the how the facets to be placed, etc. And the look and feel of the site, basically. So when a library wants to purchase or subscribe a discovery service, what are all the parameters to be taken into consideration? So I have listed some of the important parameters. One is the coverage, and second is the quality of results, and refinement facets, interface technologies, integration, interoperability, and you should consider some surveys and other usability studies conducted by other libraries, and of course the customer support. So the coverage means you should check whether all your resources are covered in the central index and also in the knowledge base. And you can check whether subject indexes, if your library subscribes some subject indexes like PsycInfo or InSpec, you just ask them whether you can they integrate those subject resources into discovery. And now we would talk a little bit about integration and interoperability in the next slide. Yeah, the content coverage. So the knowledge base, A to Z list, we have already discussed, and central index also we have discussed. And no discovery service is 100% complete. So need to check alternative options like widgets to include non-indexed resources. And relevance ranking is another parameter. All the major discovery service or web scale discovery service providers, they have published their relevance ranking documents. You can go through that to get more understanding about that. And for the linking purpose, there are mainly two linking technologies. One is link resolvers, and the second one is custom linking. Link resolver is an open URL based technology. So the problem with this technology is that some of the publishers' content do not have open URL compatibility. So in that case, you will not get direct full text link through link resolvers. So that's the reason 10% of the time link resolvers fails. So in order to tackle this situation, now discovery service providers have custom linking technologies, EBSCO, ProQuest, and even WMS. They have this technology. So that's a special technology to link directly to the publisher's resources without link resolvers. So these are some of the major discovery service providers. One is EBSCO Discovery Service. and the second one is Summon, and WorldCat Discovery is the third one. Now, Exlibris Group is merged with the Summon. So the Summon and Primo Central are now together. So basically, 3 discovery services in the world available in the world. And I have mentioned about the commercial discovery services. Now we would look some open source discovery layers. So I have particularly mentioned layers because open source technologies like Viewfind and Blacklight, they do not have central index. So it's only discovery layers, and you can integrate your library catalog, your digital library items, your institutional repository, and other library collection and resources to the Blacklight or Viewfind platform. But you need to have an API of discovery service providers to integrate article metadata, because this is only an interface technology and it doesn't have the actual content of or the central index. So you need to have that central index through some other discovery service providers. But the advantage is that if you use Viewfind or Blacklight, you can have your own custom designs and you can make it beautiful, and you can have your libraries on URL. So that is some of the advantage if you use open source discovery layers. And if you do not need the central index part, you can integrate other resources like your catalog and an institutional repository and other digital collections into open source discovery layers. So WSD, web scale discovery integration options. When we talk about integration, this is one of the important part. So discovery service doesn't mean that it searches for your article or the information you need. It should have the capacity to integrate with other library systems. For example, library catalog. Most of the Indian libraries are now using Koha open source software. So I'm sure all the discovery service providers have the capacity to integrate Koha into the discovery, and the real-time availability of the items, whether the item is checked out or is available, would be shown in the discovery interface itself, and users do not need to go to the library or Koha platform. So it can be done reverse also. For example, EBSCO Discovery Service has an API so that you can integrate that API in Koha, and you can use Koha as the interface and search other articles and discovery items through Koha. Then institution repository integration, LMS integration. Learning management systems like Moodle, Blackboard, or other technologies which supports LTI protocol can be integrated with the discovery service. The advantage is that you can search in discovery service directly and enter that items to the library management system with a one click. For example, if you have EBSCO Discovery Service, you can search for your query, and with a click, that item will be transferred to your LMS system. This is very much useful for professors who make reading list, or for the students. And Google Scholar Link Resolver, I will show you that later. Then remote access system. Praveen would be discussing about remote access system. There should be an integration option between remote access system and discovery service. And ERM system. ERM is electronic resources management system. We have some open source option for the ERM. Coral is one of the options. So you can integrate discovery knowledge base with Coral. So integration with the Google Scholar links, as due to time limitation, I am not giving in detail. But if you search something in Google Scholar, at the right-hand side, you can see that our library links. For example, full text at ZIO, Zayed University Library. So using the web scale discovery link resolver, you can do that. So if you request to the provider, they would do it for you. So you should check with the provider whether that option is available with their discovery service. and integration of electronic resources management system. So electronic resources management system basically consists of a knowledge base, ordering of electronic ordering module, licensing module, content analysis module. So we have an open source example. It's a Coral. Many university libraries are using Coral open source ERM systems. But the disadvantage is that it doesn't have a knowledge base. Knowledge base, I have already explained the list of all the publications available across the world. So, but if you have EBSCO Discovery Service, you have a API. You can make use of EBSCO Discovery Service API to integrate with Coral system. I'm not sure whether other discovery service providers have API that can be integrated with Coral. As I worked for EBSCO earlier, so I'm sure EBSCO has that opportunity. You can check with other providers too. And now we have seen what are the difference between discovery service and federated search engine, and what are the evaluation parameters to be considered before subscribing or purchasing a discovery service. Now we would discuss about some recent advancement in web scale discovery service. So one is link data. Professor Ramesh Gaur has mentioned about link data. So link data is basically when you search something and when you get a result, those results, when you click on the result, you will get all the related information about that that document. For example, I have some examples here. Diary of a Wimpy Kid. If you click on the basic title page, you will get only minimum information, but enriched title, that link data, you will get more information. I'm not showing it now. I will share this slide with you and you can feel the difference. It has got all the linking, all the related information related to Diary of a Wimpy Kid and what are all other titles authored by the author, and what are all the prizes or awards received for the title, and all the linked information you would receive if you click on the enriched title page. So discovery service providers have now started incorporating link data into their service. So it's very good. It's a very good advancement in their service. So you can check with the providers whether they have the link data module or link data facility. And the second one is integration with Google Knowledge Panel. So Google, I think most of us are aware about Google Knowledge Panel. It's basically if you search something, for example, a book, My Experiment with the Truth, you would find the buying information. Where can you purchase from that book? For example, who are all the vendors and what is the price options? In the same way, if you search for My Experiment with Truth, the Google would show you that in which libraries that book is available. So that would give more exposure to the library. So I cannot show you that it is not implemented now, but once it is implemented, Google will show here the book is available in Zayed University Library. So you can check with the providers whether they have this option, the Google integration with the Google Knowledge Panel. So I'm not talking about the Google Scholar. This feature would be available even in Google. In Google Scholar, we have already talked about the Google library links so that you can see whether particular article is available in the same way. It would show the information about the books in the Google platform. And the third one is concept map. The concept, we all know what's a concept map. You have a map of various terms. So when you click on a term, it would show you the broader term, narrower term, the related term. So this concept is also going to be integrated with the discovery service. So when you click on a term, for example, COVID-19, you would get the broader term like virus diseases. So, and the narrower term, like, if something is there. So if you click on that, it would direct you to the discovery platform, you will get all the articles. Just click. So everything would be integrated. It's also an upcoming feature. So I have given a video here. You can go click and view the video to get more understanding about this concept and how would it be integrated with the discovery service. Now we will talk about all-in-one solution library service platform. We started with the federated search technology, and now we are in all-in-one solution like library service platform. So a big shift is happening in libraries across the world. So libraries are moving from library ILS to LSP. ILS means integrated library system, for example, Koha and other ILS solutions. So LSP means library service platform, which incorporates all needed technologies of a library. For example, it has ILS system, it has ERM, it has discovery, it has purchasing platform. So it's an all-in-one solution. So there are these are some of the items that are included in LSP: acquisition module, circulation module, collection management, discovery, license management, record management, metadata management, and you can have reports, analytics, and also ILL, interlibrary loan, resource sharing, etc. So these are some of the major commercial providers of ILS platform. Sorry, LSP, Library Service Platform. One is Ex Libris Alma from ProQuest company. And the second one is OCLC World Share Management Service. So the cost is, when you compare the cost is pretty much higher. It may come around 40-45 lakhs per year. So our library has World Share Management System from OCLC. You can see here, it has got metadata module, acquisition module, license module, circulation module, interlibrary loan. So everything is covered here. The metadata module covers the discovery, the ILS, and other metadata aspects of the library. So this is an interface of WMS discovery. So this is normal as like other discovery service providers interface. I have given our link here. You can just go and see how it looks. So we have discussed about some commercial options. We have one open source solution also, Folio. Folio is a freely downloadable LSP solution. I'm sure in India, in the coming future, libraries will move from Koha to Folio. That is, I expect that. So EBSCO supports Folio with funding, developers, and project management. So it doesn't mean that it's an EBSCO project, but they support the open source movement. So you can freely download Folio from GitHub or from their site, and you can use it. But there are some service providers who provides cloud-based service for Folio. In that case, you need to pay. But compared to other commercial solutions, I'm sure the price would be comparatively much less. So there are different, various conference and webinars are happening regarding Folio. So you can go to their site and see when is the next webinar, and you can get more information from their webinars and from their site. And this is some of the Folio latest release. They have a Flame Flower release on May 19th, last week. So the Flame Flower release is the sixth in a series of named releases that define the features and functionality of the open source LSP Folio. So I have given a link of Folio wiki here. You would get more information from this wiki site. And I have given a video of Cornell University site, which is one of the first university who implemented Folio. But Folio, the development is not completed. So it would take another 1 more year to complete the development. Now only the ERM part is completed, I believe. But you can check, fact check, you can go and check the wiki. or you can see the Cornell University folio. But in the near future, I'm sure the folio will get momentum as it is an open source solution. So we have discussed all the features and functionalities. Now only 2 more slides. We will discuss some of the concerns. The biggest concern of Discovery Service is the index coverage. There are some studies which showed that the coverage gap between the publisher platform and the Discovery Service providers platform. But this study was conducted 4 years ago. The study was conducted a comparison of content coverage of IEEE platform and Discovery Service platform. But after that, we made a lot of improvements, and I'm sure now the gap is very less. And the relevance and ranking, we have very limited flexibility to tweak the relevance ranking of the Discovery Service providers. And the third one is linking technology. Link resolver fails 10% of times. I have already mentioned that. And less options for personalization. Pre-limiting search to desired set of resources is not available. Yes, you can limit to some databases, but the journal level, you cannot limit to journal level. That's one of the disadvantage of Discovery Service platform. So I have mentioned those concerns and how to improve the Discovery Service in my paper. I have mentioned the link of my paper. It's an open source paper, Improving Discovery Service, Web Scale Discovery Service. So just a quick recap. So if you are planning to purchase a Discovery Service for your library, just ask the provider about the technology, whether it is federated search or Discovery Service, and then ask about or check the coverage, knowledge base and central index, and make sure that all your subscribed resources are available in the central index as well as in the knowledge base. And check the relevancy ranking and check all the integration options available, whether you need to integrate with your Moodle or you integrate with your library catalog or institutional repository, etc. And check the functionalities in the interface technologies. So the first and foremost important thing is go for a trial and test. At least ask for 3 months trial and test all the functionalities, then decide about purchasing the Discovery. So if you have any questions, I will address those questions at the end of the discussion. And you can reach me at my email, nigeshan@gmail.com. And I would share this presentation with organizers. And also I would put the presentation in my SlideShare account, Nigesh N. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nikesh, for your wonderful presentation. I'm sure it is very beneficial. My estimate is that even 1% libraries in India are not using either federated search or Discovery Services. And because I remember when we implemented in JNU in 2013, JNU was the first university library in India to use Discovery Services. So that's the kind of scenario, and I'm sure your presentation will provide valuable inputs and links to the libraries. We spend crores of rupees on subscription, but we hesitate in spending few lakhs in adding the usage of the resources. I remember, I think, I don't know if Praveen is having that slide or not. In just 1 year, the usage of library resources, e-resources at JNU, enhanced more than 3,000%. That is unbelievable, like number of downloads, usage. That's so, I think these things are, because when I talk about the user convenience, I clearly mentioned that user they don't want many links. They don't want to go various places to download or see the information. They want Google access to the library resources. And I think, I remember like there were stories in all the national newspapers about like heading was Google like search at JNU. something. So that's the beauty of these predictive search and discovery. And I'm sure like we have good Indian service, like you talked about international discovery service providers, but there I have seen number of good Indian initiatives as a startup, or also they have come up with various options. So according to the affordability, according to your money, like how much money you can spend, it not necessarily go for back skill discovery directly. If you cannot afford, if you have some uh, less expensive option, do it. But it may be federated search, it may be discovery, but single search window is very important to the library resources. And I'm sure your presentation will be a boost to the many libraries, and particularly in this pandemic situation, this is going to be very helpful. So now let's and by integrating that skill discovery with remote access, we are going to make it anywhere, anytime access. That is going to be the topic of talk by my ex-colleague Dr. Praveen Baba, a very nice gentleman, a very good technocrat, a hardworking, a gem of person. I love you, I miss you, dear. And now I'd like to hear you. Over to Praveen.
Thank you so much, Professor. I also miss you a lot at JNU. Working with you was a real pleasure at JNU. So I request Sohailji to give me the presentation access.
You're already the presenter, sir.
So
you're already the presenter. You can present.
Okay, right. Hello everyone. I hope everyone is working safe from home or their offices in this COVID-19 period. First of all, I would like to thank, before starting my presentation, I would like to thank Knimbus, especially Mr. Muhammad Sushilji, for organizing this international webinar event. I would also like to thank Professor Gore for inviting me, giving me an opportunity over here to speak on the library access applications. I had worked with him for last 7 years before he went to IGNC back. It was a very pleasurable time working with him, learning a lot with him. Now we coming to the presentation. We all know that it has been lot talked about. Dr. Gore also said, Dr. Prashant also said, and then Nikesh also said that remote access applications are important, and I will be speaking on that thing. Especially in this COVID period, when we know that coronavirus is there all over, and the academic institutions have lot of role in that to play. We like academic institutions around the globe are looking to connect reliably. We need to connect them with the reliability to our users. We need to scale rapidly and stay protected as today's workforces. Transition is required on-premises libraries to get the remote access working. As the solution as a librarian, you should provide them with the ability to ensure best-in-class connectivity and security. Because security is the most important aspect when you are providing with the remote access applications. You are making your users access all the databases and all that resources from their home. So the security is one of the major concern when we talk about the remote access application. I will be discussing all those things in detail also. But to start with, we need to provide best-in-class connectivity and security, as I said, and allowing the users to remain as productive as possible. Because in this period of coronavirus or COVID-19, productivity should not stop. The academics should not stop their work. They should get what the resources are available. We have spent crores and crores of rupees on the resources. So all those resources are to be provided to our users. So these remote access applications or library technologies, which is known as from anywhere or anytime access, should be provided to them. For this, we basically need that the access and reliable connection should be there between networks, and the remote access to work 24 into 7 all the time. So the connectivity should not drop in, so that users don't get frustrated in between when they are having access to the resources. Because if the student, if some user is the faculty or your student is working and he is not getting some resource due to the connectivity problem or the access limitation, or there are certain interests in the application, they stop working. They feel that they are not able to work. So a lot of time is also wasted, and it doesn't make the sense. And then we need to promote collaboration and productivity between networks and e-resources to make the institution intact and make the resources available full time. We also need to make your users like stay protected against the cyber criminals, because sometimes the remote access applications have at behind some kind of cyber criminals are working. There are techniques which are working, and there are many reports in the newspapers also. I have read many reports that in this coronavirus period crisis, lot of uh, cyber crimes are being done through the remote access applications. It is not only library applications, but other kind of applications also, like for your Windows sharing and other kind of application, remote access applications. Even like your webinars, where from where you are conducting, there is lot of hype on Zoom in previous days that the lot of I mean security threat was there through the Zoom. But you need to teach, you need to guide your users how to make your application secured. No application is unsecured, only that the users have to be aware of the things. If the user is aware about the security of their system or their application, no, nothing can happen to the system. So you need to watch out for the malicious emails attachments which are sent through your name. Also, these kind of things are also happening, that through your emails, in your names, emails are sent to the users by hacking your systems that appears official and relevant to your local institutions. So you have to be aware of that. Uh, we know that the world is not changing in this, particularly that in this period of coronavirus, COVID-19. So surely remote access has as well. The remote access is also changing a lot. Well, not as such as you think, but uh, the bandwidth has dramatically improved as the cost and the ease of access is increasing. So the bandwidth is also increasing, and the cost of using it is also making fine. You can get a decent internet connection nowadays. It is very much possible, whether you are in India or whether you are anywhere around the world. Decent internet connections, even the mobile network connections, are now moving on to the 5G, from 4G to 5G. So a lot of the connectivity has improved now, virtually also and anywhere in the world. This has made the remote access working productive and cost effective. But still, there are major problems. There are some problems with the remote access, which we are facing at this moment. One is that still the work from home traffic has impacted the. Naturally, we are moving to 5G, but still, we with this period, everybody is working from home, or the even in the offices also, if the lockdowns are opening, offices also the meetings are happening on the internet itself. So the lot of traffic impact is there, and network performance is being poor still now. Mostly everybody is using Netflix also and these kind of applications, which is throttling the bandwidth in various locations to limit the impact of the internet. uh, so there was the news recently that Netflix has offered the removal of the highest bandwidth stream, which will reduce 25% of the mitigate congestion. The I mean, they have reduced their the what you call the bandwidth 25% traffic of the Netflix. Similarly, YouTube and other kind of Amazon and Prime other providers have also shifted their quality from SDI to from HDI to SDI, beating so that beating bandwidth stress is there. Further, it is also suggested that they adjust like we have the home cameras also. We are using the home cameras. So to have more bandwidth, we need to have lesser video qualities in these cameras, and we should have SD cameras. SD bandwidth should be used, and you may also suggest that like tech tips of your users to walk them through the quality of service adjustments and use the remote access tools like there are tools like Slapshots, SOS to obtain temporary access to the home PCs. If some of your users are still finding the problems in accessing the remote application, you can use applications like Slapshot.sos kind of things. Before before this COVID period, we used when since I'm in JNU and Dr. Gore introduced the concept of BYOD, like bring your own devices to the camp, to the library. But with the COVID-19 period, it is now moving on to CYOD.
Dr. Praveen,
Yes.
sorry for the
Yeah.
intrusion. Are you trying to flip your PPTs? Did you
No,
flip? Oh, you have.
I will,
Okay,
I will
okay.
be just
Because I wanted to. So we
No,
wanted to check.
I was just giving the introduction, which is
We are very sorry.
so.
We are sorry.
I will just move on to the PPTs only.
We are worried
So,
sometimes the screen gets stuck. So
Sure.
okay.
So as I was telling about the CYODs, that you can have the type of content you want to be there, or the I mean your device, which is more important. So moving on now to type of applications. Simply technologies for anywhere, anytime access. It is simple in language that simple language. It is ability to access a computer server remotely through the net of your application, office application, or your office content through a network from the home. So this is what remote access is basically. This is a like a preview of what is remote access. It's a connection of a data processing system from remote application. For example, through a virtual private network or remote desktop application, you can use it. There are a lot of applications which are coming. There are a lot of softwares which are available, but I will be talking about the library applications only at this moment. If you talk about the background of the remote access control methods, there can be a direct physical line through which it can be used. There can be virtual private networks, which is known as VPNs. Many of the institutions are providing the VPN connectivity at this time. In the period of COVID-19, the VPN has been opened out. Even for like we have many applications, we are using two of the applications in JNU. One is EZ proxy and other which we were using was OpenFS, but still our VPN has been opened for e-office, that so that we can access our complete e-office of NIC from our home itself, so that we can do the official work also. So this kind of VPN systems are also there. The Microsoft is also providing the remote desktop services, which is known as RDS. Then there are other kind of integrated service management service digital networks, wireless networks, DSLs, which are being used like digital subscribe line, cable modems. These kind of technologies are used at the background for remote access control methods. So behind the remote access, there are some protocols also. Various kind of protocols are being used at the background of these various softwares. To just name them, so that there was a protocol named as PPP, which is point-to-point protocol. Then after that, it came the Redicus remote authentication dial-in service. A lot of protocols are being used over the period of time from years. Now, at present, mostly we are using with IEEE 802.1x protocol, which is collection for the wireless protocol, so that everything can be done on the wireless. SSH was also one time used for the Linux and other kind of things. If you have Linux system, you can use the SSH protocol also. It is still very much being used. To begin, before I show all the remote access applications, you should know that there are some rules for accessing to the remote access. You should tell your users that never to share their I mean login credentials which have been given to them for the remote access, because they are very secure. It can harm your system. It can harm the privacy of a person or individual, or through his access of the system. You can check your password when you are setting your password, resetting your password. You can check your password through the meter, which is available through www.passwordmeter.com. You can check your password through that. It is always advisable. It is not possible at the time of pandemic, but still, I am telling that kiosks, web cafes, coffees, shops are not being. One should not use these kind of remote access applications at the public devices, the public devices like kiosks, web cafes, and etc. Uh, Preferably, when you are providing the remote access application, you need to provide the institutional email ID. That would be preferable. If you can provide the access through the institutional email ID, it is always preferable. Uh, Tell your users that always use the antivirus or anti-spyware. If they are using the remote access applications, you should ensure that users are connected. It is very important that users are connected to one network at a time, because if they are using multiple networks, they are using the split tunneling or dual homing. That creates a problem, because the security threat is there. One can get damaged to the security threat. Splitting of the access of internet is there. This is for the administrator. That profile should only use the administrator profile to update the profile and make system changes where your server is there. It is always preferred that all the administrative kind of work should be done through the server itself. Remotely, don't use your servers from home locations for administrative work. That is always advisable. Moving on to the type of the networks available. First one is the proxy server, which is very much used for long back. When I was with IGNO, around 15 years back, we started with the proxy servers. That was only the application available at that time. Now many applications have been developed over the years, but it was the first one which was being implemented, and we at Indira Gandhi National Open University implemented this proxy server with the help of Informatics, a company dedicated with the proxy servers. So proxy server is a computer or application level gateway between client workstation and the server or other systems. So I will be sharing this. I will discussing this. What exactly inside proxy does. The proxy with EZ proxy means that when you come to the library path, there are EZ proxies which are being used. EZ proxy is basically an adaptable middleware program that provides access to the library's licensed or subscribed content for accessing remotely. It just works with a simple funda that EZ proxy runs on a machine or a server on a network. So database vendor sees the request as originating from the authentic IP, the IPs you have given to your publishers, your institutions for the access of the resources. Thus, database and publisher website permits the access to this proxy server. Example is given that ezproxy.yourlib.org is the resource that has to be put it in config.txt file, where title some database is there. We have to put the URL and we have to put the domain name in the ezproxy.config file, so that the resource is available from outside the campus. The basic funda of ezproxy is that we are rewriting the proxy. We are rewriting the URL. Like if the URL is www.sage.org, the ezproxy server will rewrite the URL as www.sage.org/ezproxy.gnu.ac.in. That means the ezproxy dot whatever the institution name is, that is attached to your the publisher website, and then it works like your IP is open from outside the campus. So it is how it works. EZ proxy technology is provided by the OCMC Incorporation, and then there is another company which is known as IEEE WAM proxy, that is Innovative Interface Incorporation. These are the two most popular rewriting proxy product available in the market. This is the screenshot of JNU where we have the cyber ID and the password which is required to put in. And once we put that cyber ID, which is the username and the password given to each and every user of the university, when he or she enters the university, that the same username and the password is connected through the remote access application through the linking of the servers. So the other side of the slide shows the page where all the gateway to the JNU resources open up, where the remote the single window search, as told by Videsh, the previous slides, previous presentation, that we had one-stop search, the discovery search, which opens up, and all the other resources also opens up in this. This is an example of JSTOR which is opened up. Like the rewriting of URL is given at the big top, that www.jstor.org.ezproxy.jnu.ac.in. So this is a screenshot of the user management in the EZ proxy. One can manage the users also, do the user management. You can add the users also if you want. You can prepare this kind of page, AJSP page, or any kind of language. You can try with HTML language or any other kind of language. You can make this kind of page where you can do the user management of the your users. You can add your users. You can put the security questions in that so that the security can be enhanced. This is the resource management part of the EZ proxy. You can do through, as I told you, that you can do through the CFG file, but you can also make this kind of page where you can add the resources in it. The EZ proxy also provides the user statistics. You can get all those statistics if you want. How much has been used, who has used, what kind of resources, what was the number, how much time a particular user has used on particular resource. All kind of reports through the user logs can be generated in EZ proxy. Another technology which is, I will be a bit faster because time is running out. So I will be taking all the technologies. One of them, another technology is OpenAthens. Previously, we have been using OpenAthens at JNU also. Many of the institutions in India are using OpenAthens at this moment. It is one of the best software in the remote access technology. It has been provided since 1995 from University of Bath, UK. EduServe is the core behind providing the technology. 2,600 plus organizations are using OpenAthens software at this moment. There are a lot of OpenAthens products being available, which provides a lot of connectivity and services like OpenAthens MDs, managed directory is available, OpenAthens local authentication is available, service provider is available, Federation Way is available, Wayfinder is available. You have Keystone application of OpenAthens, and then you can also add on the third-party applications through OpenAthens like Moodle and ADFS through this product. This is a screenshot of OpenAthens where you can put your username and the password. You can get access to all the resources which have been subscribed by your university or institution or whatever kind of academic institution you are with. This is an example of Sage opening through OpenAthens. The best part of the OpenAthens or EZ proxy is that when you are searching through the Google, it gives you an option that you can directly log in Google itself. it will ask you that if you want to open with the OpenAthins or the other kind of technologies. But with the EZ proxy, it is still not possible. So that's one of the better option with OpenAthins. This is the admin dashboard of OpenAthins. We can get all the reports. You can see how many users are connected to your OpenAthins. You can see the account, you can see the resources. You can enhance the security. You can modify the resources if you want to suppress resources. Some of the suppressed resources, some of the resources for particular users, you can do it through OpenAthins. This is a new count wizard of OpenAthins where you can add the resources. Similar is the user management of OpenAthins. This is the statistics bars where you can see with OpenAthins how much has been used and other kind of statistics. Resource management center is there where you can choose the resources. You don't have to add the resources, just search those resources and just click on add button. It's so simple to do in OpenAthins. As we are with the Nimbus today, and the Nimbus has also one of the application which is known as remote access, Nimbus remote access. And while going through the Nimbus, one of the important feature which I would like to share with you that it's world's first enhanced embedded remote access feature which we have provided, which is a unique Nimbus feature. It enables your remote information seekers with secure access to the library. You get a comprehensive user or resource management panel in it. Nimbus has developed over the time, developed a lot of features now. The application has been widely being used in India now. When I was visiting the website of the Nimbus and saw many institutions have given a very important, very enhanced reviews of the Nimbus that they are using it and they are getting benefits through the Nimbus. And I want to share that the group management to control users' rights like remote access resources and usage limits can be done in this application. You can use the secure by design like download limits, prevent abuse of resources. These kind of features which are not available in other kind of applications have been inbuilt now in Nimbus. So you must try Nimbus using the Nimbus application. Nimbus platform automatically also makes all resources links in the e-library, including A to Z catalog. You can browse, search, and remote access page works seamlessly whether the user is on the campus or outside the campus as in the remote access. The best part is that it requires zero setup by the users, making extremely user friendly. That's the main thing. It's very simple to use it. Only thing is you have to achieve them, go to them and ask for the trials if you want to have Nimbus application at your institution. As I told you that many of the institutions are using the VPN facility also. JNU is also using the VPN facility now for their e-office work. So even for providing the library resources, the VPN can be used. These are the features that it broadens geographic connectivity. It improves the security, it shrinks operational cost, reduces transit time. Telecommunicator assistance can be provided. So these kind of VPN features are there, which can be used. Basically, VPN uses the tunneling at background. Tunneling is a protocol that allows to place entire packet within the entire packet securely from one network to the other network. IP to IP tunneling can be done, so that's the way the VPN works. Basically, the key functions of the VPN is that it provides authentication, access control, confidentiality, and data integrity. That's the best part, that the data integrity and the confidentiality of the VPN is too high. There are complications with the VPN also, that it requires an additional software to be implemented, to be installed in your system. You need a particular operating system which has been specified by your institution. It can be a very complex configurations. So these are the screenshots of the VPN, how it is being used. Cisco AnyConnect is on the screen that is being used in this particular VPN. After that, there is another technology which is known as Shibboleth, which is origin and the consortium of Internet 2, which is US launched on the basis of the open source project. World Shibboleth was used to identify the members of a group, and based on the security assertion markup SMAIL, which is known as SMAIL's security assertion markup language was used in Shibboleth, and it is widely now being used in world over. Even India is coming up with the Shibboleth technology now. I will be showing you how Shibboleth is being used in India. These are the basically software components which are to be implemented when Shibboleth is to be used. SMAIL, C++, Java libraries are required. Shibboleth identity provider is required, that is IDP. You need to have Shibboleth service provider, Shibboleth discovery service, and Shibboleth metadata aggregator is required when you want to implement your Shibboleth technology. This is basically the framework of the Shibboleth. You can use your discovery service, you can use the organization and service provider to make the system work. This is about the consortium. I will not discuss this consortium. As I was telling you that it uses the SMAIL. SMAIL is the security assertion markup language, which is an XML-based framework for communicating user authentication and entitlement and attribute information. SMAIL defines three basic rules: that the principal, the identity provider, and the service provider. So on these three principles, the SMAIL works, and these are the components which provide the authentication assertions. It provides the attribute assertions, and it provides the authorization decisions in SMAIL. Basically, SMAIL has the importance which Nilesh was talking about, that it gives the single sign-on. It provides a single authentication statement, possibly by a single attribute statement. So you need to have a protocol, binding, and profile to make this system work. These are some of the uses of SMAIL. I will not get into it. So this is basically a component of discovery service, which can be implemented through the remote access, and discovery can be integrated in the Shibboleth. The screenshot of Shibboleth is given over here. As I was telling you that there are two options generally given in the Google. One is Shibboleth and other is OpenAthens. When you're searching any kind of resource or any kind of publication, it gives ask for login via your institution. So you can choose either Shibboleth or OpenAthens directly from there itself in the Google. So that's the benefit of these two technologies. Screenshot of the login page of a Shibboleth being used. The Elsevier is shown over here, where you can see the institutions which are being working through this Shibboleth technology. Now, as I was telling that India is now moving to the Shibboleth. The Internet UGC part has started with the Internet Access Management Federation, which is known as INFID, has adopted Shibboleth, a standard-based open source software for authenticating authorized users from institution and provide them seamless access to the resources from anywhere, anytime. So if you are part of the UGC Internet, you can be part of this INFID program, and you can implement the Shibboleth technology if you want to. Similar to Knimbus, the remote access is another private vendor where which you can use. Remote access is provided by the Granny Protect. They are being used by this software is now being used by 600 plus institutions around 3 continents. This is another good software which is based on the cloud-based technology. These are some of the features. These features are almost similar, which I have already discussed in the other remote access applications. Only thing is that it is on the cloud. These are the screenshots of the remote access. Now moving on to these were some of the technologies which were majorly being used in Indian and other countries abroad for remote access applications. But still, as such, if you are giving any access to the remote access, use some rules, provide some rules to your users that remote access is strictly personal. So it should not be used. It should be used only for the personal study and research purposes, because it should not be used for the non professional, non academic purposes, because the publisher restriction is there and it can cause the library or the librarians big trouble. So make it sure you make the users sign with the license once they are accessing the remote access application. The commercial use of the data, the systematic download of large amount of data, including entire books or journals, as well as systematic storage of data, are strictly forbidden and should be explained to your users. Pass of the user ID password, as I told, to others is strictly forbidden, and to use remote access in connection with another workplace. If the library or the data supplier discovers any misuse, remote access account of users will be closed. That should be mandatory by your library. All traffic relating to remote access is logged by both the data supplier and the library. That is also important, that you should maintain your logs, so that if some infiltration is there or some misuse is there, you can directly track that through your logs behind. So these are some of the resources. These are the mandatory acceptance of terms and for use of remote access, which we have provided. Most of the institutions are providing. So you can find it on my presentation also, and on other websites also it is available. So these should be mandatory accepted by your users. So to conclude it, I would give some few suggestions that provide 24/7, at least 20/7 support service to your users by way of implementing open etiquette or live chat with the remote access, so that not only providing the remote access gives everything to the users, you need to provide continuous service also to your users. You need to reach them. You need to give their email IDs. You need to open the live chats with them, so that if they find some trouble, not only in the remote access application, but with the resources they are accessing to, you can immediately solve those kind of problems. If your organization or library does not have remote access technology implemented at present, then publishers are support with the organization access controls and referring URLs. Many of the publishers are now, in this COVID-19 period, have opened their resources, and they are providing the open URLs, so that without the remote access applications also, that you can provide the resources access from their home itself. You can create a subject or search group specific page, providing direct access to enriched links and other helpful contents that can be done. You can provide basically subject or group specific pages, so that you provide an enhanced service to them, not only just providing the links of those resources, but you provide one step ahead by providing the subject guides and subject research specific resources. Finally, to conclude, I would say that help assist the users with tracking the illegal use of robots, intelligent agents, and agents to do systematic bulk and automatic downloading. Should be always keep track of. The security should be at the most important part of the remote access applications when we are providing. So this is, I think I have completed my presentation. Hopefully you have, if you have any questions, you can ask me. So over to you, Dr. Gaurav. Thank you so much.
Thank you, my dear. So just my wife was in front of me. She was asking why you are so feeling so smiling and feeling happy. So I told her that when my boy is doing so great, and as a mentor, I feel so happy and feel blessed that India's librarianship future is very well because of people like you. So thank you very, very, very.
Thank you.
Such a wonderful presentation. And I think you have rightly, you and Nikesh has given enough inputs to the Indian librarians, like thousands of attending this webinar, that if you are not having these two tools, how you are serving your user in pandemic situation like this? Because these are the library essentials. I talked about library essentials. And both the technologies, what Nikesh and you have talked about it, these are the library essentials nowadays. Without this, library accesses have no meaning. And plenty of options, both commercial as well as open access. Now you have to choose according to your pocket, like how much money you have. I always, I'm a strong supporter of open access. At the same time, I also say that open access is not for everyone also. Like when we talk about open source tools, everybody cannot maintain it. Everybody cannot. So then if you have money, let's afford the best technology. And there is always, like when you use a commercial technology and if you spend money, there is a value to it. So I think this debate open versus like I have also heard about this infant program of Infant. So that I hope that all those 200 plus universities should implement that. But I don't know. We have to see that are they covering your library resources also, or only the subscribed resources of implement databases? So that has to be seen because I have not seen any active example. You should study that, like how implement is implementing it, and implement is the right body to implement all those kind of things to help many libraries because many are not having technology. So thank you, Praveen. Now I will be inviting our next Dr. Mena. I'm not responsible for it. Either Suhail is responsible for such a long wait for you or these speakers. I started my presentation in a very quick note. I maintained the timeline, and none of them have maintained the timeline. They have all exceeded their time limit. So if you are waiting for such a long time, I'm not responsible for it. I'm sorry for it. And I can understand you are going to be the last speaker, but you are one of the most important speakers. You are the users of the libraries. We are the service provider, and without user, there is no library. And users are the person who evaluate what we are doing is right or wrong. And your expectations are very important to us. Like whatever technology is available, whatever information we have, until unless our user tell us that is she or he is happy with services or not. So thank over to you. Let's hear from you. What are your expectations and what teaching and learning things you are going to offer? So over to Dr. Menon.
Good afternoon, Dr. Gaur. Thank you very much. You began by saying, I'm sorry, and I almost thought you are regretting that I'm on the panel, but of course, I'm just doing that. I'm just saying that as a joke in jest. Thank you very much to everybody, our panelists who have joined us from all over the world. Thank you very much for all the participants. There are some 700 people who are still logged in. And having taught in many classrooms in India and abroad, I'm so grateful because I know how hard that is. So thank you for your patience, and I will not exceed my time. And I also want to say that I saw from the attendees that some of you are from Haryana, from Punjab, from Tamil Nadu. And I want to say that we should spend just this moment to think of all the people who are not as comfortably off as we are and who are, in fact, not able to work from home and stay at home. And there are people who are enabling us to do that. So I just wanted to acknowledge that these are very hard times. While we are looking at research, it's important, but it's also a luxury. So I wanted to humbly acknowledge that as a citizen of this country and as an educator. So thank you to everybody who's around. I want to say this is really a presentation which, in a sense, does not belong to the world of librarians. But yes, I am a user. I have been a researcher, and then I became an author. And I've been a teacher, and then I became an instructional designer. So I know that when we have the research that is available to us, what do we do with it? Why are we doing it? We are doing that research to be able to accomplish something, to be able to showcase our research. What does that mean? To be able to publish, to be able to write books, to be able to publish articles. And today our careers depend a lot on it. So my remarks are going to be, as you can see on the slide, in about two things. And I'll keep them brief, a few minutes for each one of those. The first one is I want to introduce the GIST Institute. And then I want to give you a little brief look at the sort of workshops and training sessions that I think would benefit a lot of us and a lot of early researchers, also advanced researchers who would like to publish in the most well-reputed journals. At the other end, I have to thank Mr. Sohail and Mr. Venkatesh, and he's handling my slides. So, Mr. Venkatesh, we are ready to go. So, roll the slides for me, please. So, the GIST Institute is really born out of this felt need that even when research sources are available, as Professor Gore said, that we are not always able to sift through that easily. We need the skills, we need the training, we need support. How are we going to be able to produce publishable manuscripts which are going to be well received by editors? I also come from a space where, after being an author, I also have been serving on the editorial collectives of a couple of journals. One of them is based in the UK. So I understand the sort of standards we need to adhere to. Mr. Venkatesh, can we push the slides, please? So I want to say that the GIST Institute, what do we do? So we are really looking at professional enhancement services for both teaching and for research. So on one hand, there would be things related to online pedagogy, syllabus design, designing hybrid courses, flipped classrooms, video classroom skills, and so on. We have been hearing other panelists speak about how it is important for us to keep the pandemic environment in mind as we look at anywhere access. Well, that also puts a lot of responsibility on us as educators and teachers. And a lot of people thousands of teachers had to jump into the Zoom environment suddenly in March, and it's not been an easy journey. Even in the US, the surveys that have come out show that actually it's been a very hard experience, and most students around the world have not been satisfied with it. So I feel it's a really important aspect for institutions to invest in being able to upskill how our educators are comfortable with those environments. And we can't just get comfortable with practice. Practice helps, but also tips. How do we actually navigate those environments? Secondly, what is our life as a researcher? Where do I need that support when I begin the research, or even when I've done the research? What does an early researcher need? Mentoring. How do I need support for manuscript reviews? Even before I send in something for review, I need some support to be able to create something that is not going to be rejected by the first editor. So we are really built for a digital environment, and this is what we do. And we'll move to the next slide, please. So who will benefit from this? Basically, researchers will benefit as well as institutions. So institutions can enroll for this as a service, and we would create upskilling environments, webinars, support services, create groups of researchers who can create peer review groups within the universities. There are many, many ideas that we can come up with if your institute, if your university or college is interested in exploring that. If you wish to explore independent support services, you have to wait a little while because this is a startup and we don't know how much we can handle, but do send your queries to us. Next. So I also want to say that for early researchers, let me tell you the sorts of sessions that we can offer. Choosing a topic for publication. I had a query from somebody 2 days ago on one of the other webinars where she said, you are speaking about advanced research when the manuscript is almost ready. What about early researchers, even in the choice of a topic? In the choice of being able to write an impactful abstract? What is a literary review? How can my literary review really be impressive? How can I manage a really impressive discussion section? What are the details I need to worry about so that my manuscript is not rejected right away? So how would advanced researchers benefit from this? How do you choose a journal? How do you differentiate, as Professor Gore said, between the predatory journals and publishing platforms that are reputable? How do we create that submission narrative and a really impressive cover letter? Because remember, that's the trailer of your movie. Your abstract and your cover letter is what somebody is going to read right away. Next slide, please. So then I'm going to move away now from telling you very briefly about the GIST Institute that we are now launching. We have launched it this week, and I'm very excited about it because for me, these are issues that I have worked with in my own journey. I studied in India. I taught overseas. I struggled with what it's like to have not enough training in doing research or writing publishable stuff. And my first book was published in the US. So that was a challenging journey. Since then, I have become a peer reviewer. I also teach online. And so I understand the aspects of that journey. I know that regardless of the subject, some of these things apply to everybody. Now, in this slide is just an introduction. You can move to the next slide. I wanted us to be aware that publish or perish is something we all deal with, and there are high rejection rates. Even though there are so many books on how to do research, it's not really so easy. So, what am I going to speak about in the next few minutes is basically just to identify a few pitfalls. We will hold a masterclass of this at a later point, and do send us a feedback. But I wanted here just to speak about three aspects where you can be, if you're a researcher, you can be your own reviewer first. And if you're a librarian, you can actually advise the researchers who come to you. So, what are three really key things to focus on? Key parts of your, next slide, please. Key parts of your own research. The abstract, the first thing, that's what anybody reads first. And that's extremely important. Don't fritter away those words. There's a word limit for that. You need tight editing. Ask for feedback. Ask your friends, colleagues to be able to read that and say, do I actually explain my argument in this well? Do I mention my findings? Does this sound relevant for the research? Is it impressive in these 70 words that I'm presenting the abstract? So work on the revisions of that and then put it away and reread after a few days, and you'll see that you'll be able to improve upon your own abstract. Next, please. I want to then say that the body of your research paper, or anybody's research paper, not just yours, if you're a librarian, those are the building blocks. So, what are the questions to ask? Does the introduction lead the reader into the paper? Is the discussion section showing sequence, logical progression, flow of language? Now, it doesn't matter whether your paper is in medicine or in STEM or in public health. The truth is, a publishable paper needs to have a clear narrative. I cannot even overemphasize the importance of the flow. The flow of ideas have to be really smooth. It's not enough to have really great research. It needs to be laid out in a way that is going to be accessible to all readers, not just the authors. So don't blur in explaining your method, your sample size, or any other caveats or exceptions that are part of your research. Choose your subheadings carefully because that's what the editor is going to see after they read the heading and the abstract. They will skim over it. They say, next slide, please. They say that an editor actually spends only 20 minutes to decide whether to send your paper to the reviewers at all. So you have to catch them in those 20 minutes, which is why I come to the third thing. The devil is in the detail. Don't think that excellent research and excellent findings are enough if you want to publish it. There's a lot of work that goes into the article that you read in a journal. When you access it, it is laid out beautifully. It has no errors at all. Editors are used to fixing a lot of errors, but the more errors they see, the less your chance of getting accepted in the first go. The aim of every researcher and every research paper is to have it accepted for review in the first shot. And there are statistics which say that rejection rates are sometimes as high as 68%, which means that 68 out of every 100 submissions to a journal are sent back. And that's tragic because we all spend months and months before we are able to create a publishable paper. So avoid making any mistakes in the references. Make sure that all the important scholars and scientists in your area are included in your references. Above all, master the guidelines of the journal where you plan to submit, because they are looking at every submission from their point of view. If you haven't followed the guidelines, it's the first thing that puts everybody off. So I just want to go to the last slide now to say the most common reasons for rejection are the following: that the manuscript is incomplete, just titles, authors, affiliations, keywords, main text. Just don't think that's not important. It's extremely important. If that is not done well, it gives the impression that as a researcher, you are negligent. You're not careful about details. Worry about the peer review process because the language and the grammar are important. So at the GIST Institute, we will be looking at manuscript critiques to be able to give one-page reviews on what are the issues with your manuscript. And there are many other aspects that we are going to be able to provide support for. If your figures are not complete or clear, yes, only the technical editor can tell you if they are wrong. But anybody can look at it and see that they're not complete or they're not clear. Similarly, if references are not complete or they are very old, I don't have to be a technical editor to look at the back of the references and say, but you have nothing here in the last 5 years, which means that if you're dealing with a scientific topic and you don't have references from the last 5 years, that means your research is already dated. Finally, plagiarism. And we can have a separate masterclass on plagiarism, how it is detected, and what actually that means, and what are the ethics of publishing. So I just want to end with this, and my last slide basically just says thank you, and to say that please send feedback on the sorts of topics that you would like as researchers or as researchers who want to publish. I want to say that we are not thinking of dissertation services, just like there are predatory journals. There are also lots of services which offer to write your paper or write your dissertation for money. That's not who we are. That's not why we want to be in this space. We want to be able to take researchers to the next stage so that every time they use the support, they are actually better and more empowered as researchers and in a much better spot to be able to hit the best publications ever. So I'm going to end on this and saying thank you to everybody and saying stay home, stay safe, and keep working. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mehna. So your feedback is right here from a person who almost every alternative day talking on this subject, what is plagiarism, how to detect, how to avoid it, on various kind of ways of academic writings, how to improve effective writing. Even yesterday, I inaugurated one webinar on academic integrity. So this is something very, very important. And my last 10-year experience, which I am very closely, I'm also running 2 courses, one on research methodology and one on research publication ethics in my institute as a dean. And in JNU, I actually, whatever you have covered in your presentation and you have talked about the aims and objectives of our institute, this everything I have practically implemented and found so useful. I mean, you can believe it when in 2012, I implemented this in a university like JNU. There was no awareness about what is plagiarism, how to analyze the similarities. There was no software available in a university like JNU. You can understand the fate of other universities in the same India. Like, this is the topic of extreme importance, and we are almost 4th number or among top 5 country in the world in terms of research output. But when we talk about the originality of research or average citation score, we are not even among top 30 countries of the world. So I think there's a big gap between original research and the research output. Prashant mentioned that China has superseded USA. This is a forecast. I was in a seminar in Singapore and I made the presentation, and there was that time, I think that was somewhere in 2014. That time there was a forecast that China will supersede US and India will supersede this UK in terms of research output in the next few years. And that has become true. And your slide has rightly pointed out that China has overcome the number of publications more than US. So I think this issue is extremely important, and what you are presenting, it is very interesting. But our focus has to be on the quality of the research, and I'm sure there will be a lot of demand. People will be burying for this, coming for this kind of training, and I think this institute is going to make a good impact on research domain of India. So now I think Chandrakala or Venkatesh, who is asking the questions?
Quickly, sorry for the intrusion again.
Yeah, Prashant.
Before going to the question answer session, we have with us Dr. Ilangovan Alagumalai, who's from IMT Dubai campus, Institute of Management Technology, Dubai campus. He would like to share a few words here on the platform, sir. He's there with us.
Sure, we are very late, and just a very brief 1 or 2 minutes comments only, not more than that, because we already exceeded time in a last, I think, almost half an hour or 1 hour. So just brief comment, maximum 1 or 2 minutes, not more than that.
Dr. Ilangovan, over to you, sir.
Dr. Ilangovan, can you hear me? Dr. Ilangovan?
I believe Dr. Ilangovan, yeah. Dr. Ilangovan,
We are waiting.
Venkatesh?
Yes, sir.
I think he has some problem in the mic. Can we go ahead and please ask Dr. Gaur to do the...
Yes, we can continue with the webinar right now. The next session would be question answers.
Yeah.
And Ms. Chandrakala Chauhan will guide us with the questions, and the speakers would be more than happy to answer the questions. Chandrakala, over to you.
Sure.
Chandrakala, can you hear me?
Sure, sir. Yeah, I can hear you.
So first you will address one question each to each panelist.
All right,
see that how much time we have, accordingly then we will decide. So first one question to each panelist.
All right, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for being here. And I would like to thank you.
And I should be in the last, first other three panelists.
All right, I'll keep it in mind, sir. All right, sir. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, everyone, who all being here and supported us. And I must say, it's a very, very informative, a webinar for today. And everyone was wonderful. So I've been hearing all the presentation for last almost 4 hours. I understand that we already exceeded the time, so I will not take much of your time now, and we'll go ahead with the question answer rounds. So, sir, my first question is for Mr. Prashant. Sir, the question is like, what will be the future of the libraries? Like, because we know that the COVID-19 has suffered everyone, so no one is able to go to library and colleges. So everyone is very concerned about how we can face the critical time of 2020. So how we are going to deal with the library issues, something like that. So if you can just give us 2 points, like how can we go ahead with this 2020 COVID-19 duration?
Yep, great. Thank you, Chandrakala. Quickly, my response would be the library is library and information science. And one thing that we keep on forgetting is that it is associated with the information management. So it may have originated in temples and places of worship in the past, but now the library is pretty much not the preserver of information, but more about facilitating access. So the only way we are going to do it, and Professor Gaur actually very succinctly presented in his presentation, that it is about taking the information, and information can take a lot of forms. It is the knowledge, it's the information in the research, it is information in our books, it's actually information around networks. I consider LinkedIn, for example, as a catalog of relationships and network. Facebook in 21st century is another form of a library where we are curating relationships and network. So library is much more broader than what we perceive as library, because information and data is pretty much shaping everything that we do. We live in the times of data deluge. So coming back to my presentation, I think it's a journey from transaction to transformations. We have to think outside the box. It is about bridging the gap between demand and supply. So effectively curating the information in such a way that we can reach to the masses and effectively reduce the negative impact fake news or incorrect sources are having in the 21st century.
All right, sir. Thank you so much, sir. I hope everyone is happy and
The next question. Next question. Chandrika, can you hear me?
Venki, can you take
Go ahead with the next question.
I think some network
say
issue.
what are the main things which you have done in your library? Yeah,
Chandrika, can you repeat it now, because earlier you were not audio.
Yeah. Can you hear me now? Hello?
Yes, start.
All right. Yeah. Okay. So, sir, my question is, what were the main challenges you faced at your library during pre and post COVID-19? So, this question is for Mr. Narayana. I know this is a bit of out of the box question, but somehow we feel it's an important question for all the participants over here. So, if you can just give 2 points about it.
Nikesh, please respond. Nikesh, this question is to you.
Nikesh, sir is on mute. So if someone can unmute him.
Yes, can you repeat the questions one more? Because I thought the questions belong to... Yep.
So the question is...
So the question is...
Yeah, go ahead.
What was the main challenges you faced at your library during pre and post COVID-19? So is there any changes in your library before 2020 comes in the calendar? In 2019 we were very familiar with the library, physical library. We used to go to library. So COVID-19 hit us a very bad way. So now we have changed everything. So the question is related to that.
Yes, I understood. That's a very good question. Actually, in our library is a kind of hybrid library, and we have been keeping all the technology to enhance our services. Even before we have a virtual reference service, and we have all our resources accessible through remotely, and we provide online reference service and all other internet-based services. So it was not much challenge for us to adapt with the new situation. So we have discussed various technologies and challenges to transform the libraries. So if you have kind of right technology, so you can easily transform. So all the libraries need to take care about implementing new technologies based on their financial strength. As Professor Gaur pointed out, it may not be web scale discovery service, but whatever is available and based on their financial strength, they can adopt that technology. And remote access technologies, that's very important. during this period and in the coming period also. So for us, it was not much challenge as we have all the technologies in place. So we just extended our service because users are not able to come to the library. So we utilized our technologies to provide online services. Thank you.
Chandrakala, next question.
Absolutely, sir. Thank you so much for enlightening on the remote access and digital library platform. I think everyone should use it in India also, because we know that the problem is much more, higher than we are thinking right now. So my question is, my next question is for Dr. Babbar. Sir, there is one question where people are asking, like, which much digital transformation will it completely remove the traditional library, and does it will replace the need of the librarian as a library as a place? So people are more concerned, even if they they do come for the digital library, will they able to, will they not be able to in the system anymore? Is there any, a lot of people will be not able to put up as a librarian? So this is the basic question which people are, more concerned about. So I think it's a very relevant question as well.
Yeah, definitely. I will relate this question to the previous question answered also. See, when this lockdown happened due to the COVID-19, it was 19th March, and immediately in the evening we got an order that library and the university is being shut down, and within there was nothing being done. I mean, there was no infrastructure, nothing was there which we could implementally transform. So whatever the resources we had to work with those kind of resources on. And over this last 2 months, we have provided all kind of services to our users, which we were doing to the our users before also. In fact, it's only the physical books which are not being transformed. I mean, they are not being issued. That is only the difference. Otherwise, I think all the services are there which we are providing to our users. My email box is fully pounded with the emails daily from the faculty, from the users. So speaking like that, the librarian work will be ended. It is impossible. Librarian work is enhanced. It depends upon a person to person how he or she takes the work. So when you are using you are reaching out to your users, definitely they will come back to you. Your work will also enhance. Our e-office, which was being used from the campus itself earlier, now has been opened up from the home also. So our e-filing and other kind of leave applications and other things, all like ERP applications, are opened from home itself. So I don't find any difference between the previous time and the current time. Librarians will be there, and it depends upon the person to person how he or she takes this. So that's the answer from my side.
All right, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. And sir Ramesh sir, my question is for you. Next question. So the question is, like, how do you encourage reading habits in today's youth? Because they are not very habitual of going through all the content and everything. So if you speak 2 minutes on the same particular topics, it will be very helpful for each one of us.
Thank you, Chandrakala. So let me just start from the point of view of our school kids. When we talk about the reading habit, actually, the best time is to inculcate reading habit among the kids is at the school level. So somewhere, I think down the line, our school libraries need to be re-engineered, transformed in terms of services and facilities. Like Dr. Mehta talked about various aspects of research. Give you one example. When holiday homework is given or assignment is given to the school kids, what they do? They copy from Wikipedia or some other internet sources, or parents are doing homework. And when it is going to teacher, they are marking outstanding, excellent, very good, without bothering from where the contents have come. So the teacher should have guided the student that you are not the original creator of that idea, so you should have cited the source, and they should have been taught how to cite the source. Similarly, librarian, the school librarian has to design the kind of strategies which attract students to the library. Currently, like we hardly have the concept of libraries in schools in rural areas or in many government state-run government schools. So that is the first thing that we should enhance, or we should make certain kind of policies and program to inculcate reading habits in the children's mind, in the young minds. Second thing, we need to have change in our perception. Reading a printing book or coming to the library or reading something which is a journal or some, I think we have to change the mind that it is not necessary that somebody, many people talk about how many users are coming to your library. That is not important nowadays. First of all, my topic of the talk was users' convenience. See how users are feeling comfortable in reading. Give you my example. My daughter, she is a software engineer, and she was doing BTech. I have never seen studying any printing, reading any printing book. Her entire readings were online readings. So basically, it is not that how the student is reading. See their convenience, not force them that they should read coming to the library and reading. Only then you will measure the reading habit among them. The most important thing is that my entire presentation was on those priorities only. When you start engaging people in the libraries, they start reading it. Like Prashanta has rightly mentioned in the presentation that during this COVID-19 situation, the reading, the usage was highest as compared to